時々の
幻だ
next number, I'd like to return to the classics.
Uno, two, tres, four.
너가 뭐라고 하든 난 그냥 할 거야. 내가 하고자 하는 거 그냥 할 거야. 내가 하고 싶으니까 그냥 계속 할 거야.
What's your name?
Daniel.
Where are you from?
San Francisco, born and raised.
How would you describe yourself in 3 words?
Goofy, happy, confident.
What do you do?
My favorite things are photography and graphic design.
Do you like it?
I have a blast doing it, even though it's a pain in the ass to get it right.
Clean or messy?
Clean.
Favorite movie?
Anything Wong Kar-wai right now.
Favorite TV shows growing up?
Animated series, Trigun, Cowboy Bebop, Escaflowne.
Coolest place you've ever been to?
Conservatory of Flowers in San Francisco, Golden Gate Park.
How would you describe your aesthetic?
Balanced, minimal, clean, and feel good.
Who's someone you'd want to have lunch with?
Pharrell Williams.
What do you like to do for fun?
Play video games. Super Smash Bros. Is the specific one right now.
What do you look for in your friends?
Goofiness, the willingness to not take things too seriously, but know when to pick things up too.
You've just had a bad day. What do you do to decompress?
I lay down and watch anything on YouTube that relates to my practice.
Mountain or ocean?
Mountain.
Turtles or rabbits?
Turtles.
Automatic or manual?
Manual.
Guilty pleasures?
Very disturbing horror movies.
Favorite restaurant?
Szechuan places, anywhere, Chinese food.
Late night driving music?
Anything with heavy reverbs. Alternative R&B.
Film or digital?
Both.
You're stranded on an island. Who would you want around to keep you company?
Dogs. Just any fucking form of dogs. I don't need to talk to anyone.
Badu or tribe?
Tried.
Stay in or go out?
Depends on my mood.
Matches or lighter?
Matches.
What ticks you off?
Stubbornness, but I'm stubborn myself, so it's a hate-love situation.
What makes you laugh?
The unexpected.
What's the last thing that blew your mind?
I think cinema always takes me to the next level.
Alright guys, we are live. Welcome everyone. This is Nüfly session 31. I am one of your four. Yeah, I think I am still one of your four hosts today. I didn't really plan this one through. I'm one of your four hosts today, and also today's spotlight. My name is Daniel. I'm the art director here at Nüfly. You can find me on Instagram or Twitter at Dakfu, that's DAKFU. I'm going to hand the microphone over to Belinda.
Hey guys, what's up? I'm Belinda, your editor-in-chief here at Nüfly, also your video director. I'm excited for this week's stream. They had to push Dan into the spotlight because he deserves it. The guy has prepared 76 slides for you guys, so it's about to be some comprehensive creative work.
It's gonna be a lot of
pulling
bullshit.
Yep. You're gonna see under the hood what it looks like in the car. Thanks for joining us this Saturday. It's very, very smoky outside in SF, so definitely keep your windows closed if you are in the Bay Area. It's not good right now, but also known as _ZenRabbit on all platforms. And I'm gonna pass the mic over to Kaz now. What up with the hat too?
Hey,
I'm wearing my hat in for Dan today.
meet your boy Kaz.
You know what I'm saying?
Your boy.
But yeah, it's Cass signing on. Thank you for jumping on with us tonight, or this afternoon. We're featuring our man Dan from the home team. But so it should be cool. About to learn something new again, and I'm gonna pass it to my homie Don.
What's up, y'all? Happy Saturday. We have a great show today for y'all. We are showcasing Dan, like Belinda said, and we have 78 slides to go through. So, gang.
Better start now.
The visual mastermind.
Not even. I was thinking maybe for our new followers or anyone tuning into Nüfly for the first time, just want to kind of give a quick reintroduction of Nüfly. We are a multimedia brand centered around mental health in the creative scene. One of our goals is to help artists realize their lost motivations. So we're here always talking about process. We're always here talking about one another's well-beings, and also sharing tips and practices that has helped us individually, and also as individual entrepreneurs ourselves. So thank you everyone for tuning in. I guess some current events. We had some big news last night. Fortunately, Chad Boswick has left us due to colon cancer. And maybe we're gonna observe a few moments of silence for him. You guys cool with that?
Yeah. You wanna stop video?
Wait.
Should we go to black screen for a second?
Yeah, black screen.
Stop video. Okay.
Yeah,
Tell us when.
A real moment of silence. No picture, no sound.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
All right,
30 or 60 seconds.
What about that
long.
Jackie Robinson's number? Because he played that character, Jackie Robinson, in that movie.
The 5.
Yeah, and they were
Well,
just
it's
celebrating
42.
that yesterday too.
Oh, really?
What's the name of the
Yeah.
we should just do 42 seconds.
42 seconds? Okay.
Let's do it.
Black
Yeah.
screen.
All right, Kaz, count us.
Everyone.
All right, on 3, 2, 1. Rest in peace.
Rest in
Rest in
peace,
peace.
Chad.
Rest in peace.
All right.
That guy seemed like super spiritually aligned too.
Yeah.
Like he looked like he could have been a monk, man. Just like the way that he carried himself, he looked like he had a lot of inner peace. And I was like watching back on some interviews last night that he had done, and when they were doing the Black Panther press run, they were at Sway in the Morning, and they did like a whole group panel. In the middle of the interview, he like talked about how he had been like texting with these two kids that had terminal cancer, and he started like tearing up. And like that just has so much more depth now. Like watching back on that, I'm like, this guy really, he felt every moment, you know. And we got to take advantage of that because it's not promised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real life hero.
Yeah. He had a lot of presence during screen time too, and even like behind the scenes with interviews, like you could just tell like he had a good head on his shoulders, and dude, like no one knew, you know, since even like I think his big cut was when he led his role in the Black Panther, and during that time he was diagnosed. So may you rest in peace. Thank you, Chad.
Yeah.
He was
Rest in power.
He was like a actor too. Like, you know, he was like a real actor. It wasn't like a real thespian. And so,
Yeah, I would highly recommend that Hollywood Reporter Roundtable that he did. It was a really good one, and really good actors.
He was
Viggo
actually a lot older than
Mortensen
I
was in
thought.
that one too with him, and what was that?
I thought he was like 30 something, but he's like 40. He was 43.
Yeah, he looked
He's in
really
his
young.
40s, yeah.
Yeah, he looked pretty young.
Yeah. Damn. Too soon,
Well,
man.
he definitely hit it really well, and shout out to his team, man, because like his team broke that shit, not TMZ or some other, you know, like
Good
On
point.
social.
like vultures, like
Yeah.
they were able to,
I fucking hate that shit.
like, man, like, do you know how much you have to do to protect information like that? That's crazy. Like nobody knew.
Yeah.
I think only his family knew, and it was like everyone was there at the time. So
Yeah.
I guess it was it wasn't like an out of nowhere thing, but it was like inevitable. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're all together somehow.
Yeah. Rest in power.
But
Oh,
we
alright.
must remember that there's light at the end of the tunnel, and that we have to do our work as artists to keep pushing, because if we don't, like, it's really dark outside, and we provide light and color, and that's our intention when we go into the work that we do. I think that's why we need to spotlight you today, Dan. Like, you got it's time.
Oh man.
It's time, man. Yeah. Do we need to go all the way back to when you were a wee lad?
I will. Yeah, I will leave you guys. I am in the hot seat right now. I will leave it up to you guys to ask me what questions, what you guys want to know.
Yeah. How did you fall in love with art?
How
Yeah, let's start from the beginning.
So,
What was
okay,
your first love?
first?
Were you doing the
love.
slides?
Oh no, the slides are happening for the third hour. They're just
Yeah, for the
fast-forward.
not right now. This is into his journey,
Yeah.
into the myth of Daniel Kit Fung.
Yeah. Kit.
Yeah,
Kit's
that's
my
his
middle name.
Hey.
Yeah. So I guess this kind of a lot of it stems back to the old house that I grew up on the other side of the hill that I currently live at. Growing up there, we had like basically 3 families in one house. I grew up with my cousins. My parents got divorced at a really early age, probably when I was 6 or 7. So my mom moved in with her siblings. Growing up in that household, we all shared one computer for everything, like the internet. This was my uncle's computer. He was kind of like a tech guy in the house, but it's funny because he secretly had his own computer in his own room. But, everyone else just used the other computer that's out there.
I like his style.
Yeah. He was a videographer at that time. So growing up, you know, like when you're on the internet, like we use it personally for like what, like Newgrounds, like Age of Empires. You
Is this
know?
dial-up era?
This was definitely dial-up era. Yeah, like Net Zero era.
Net Zero.
Post AOL.
MSN.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
I remember
Yeah.
that AOL sound that was like, you know, like
The
when
modem.
it's like, yeah, when
56K
it's like
modem.
logging in.
Yeah.
Get off the phone.
Not for real. That was the thing, dude. Especially
Yeah.
fax machines.
You got
Yeah.
it.
X machines. Oh man.
Yeah.
They made it real hard for you to ignore other people around you. Like now
Nah,
it's
for
like,
real.
do those noise canceling headphones. Like I'm
wearing them
find
right
this-
now. Yeah. Shout out to Don who suggested these Bose QC2s. Belinda and I picked one up each to improve our experience with these live streams.
I didn't get back here
Not
in time to
sponsored.
sync it up with the Bluetooth because
No,
I really wanted to get wireless. Like I want it. It's no fun when I'm like trying to do a session and I'm like getting into a zone and I like feel tethered like a dog. Like oh shit, I went too far.
Mm.
Like in the room. Yeah.
I don't
know,
move
but
too much, so I'm okay with the wiring.
Getting pretty lit with the head movement, you know.
Yeah.
the noise canceling feature is pretty crazy, man. Like the way that knocks out all the sound outside.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah. But we didn't have that technology growing up, that's for sure.
Nope.
Nope.
Yeah.
Grew up in the age of Napster, right?
Yeah. LimeWire for me.
LimeWire, yes,
Ooh.
LimeWire. That was the one.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember Napster. before.
Kazaa.
Mm-hmm.
Kazaa,
Hey,
bro,
Morpheus.
yes, Kazaa, dude.
You guys remember Morpheus?
Yes.
I've always heard of it.
Oh,
I just
shit.
never.
Yeah. Okay, that was like the same
I just
area. It was
remember
like you
Kazaa
got.
and LimeWire. What?
This is like the same era, yeah.
Mm.
My first song on Napster was Incubus.
Wow,
Hey, that's a
you
good one.
remember.
What?
Incubus was
Yeah.
fun.
Drive.
Nice. That's my
Drive.
favorite.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was Drive.
Yeah, I still
I'll have to
listen
be
Incubus.
your opening song when you do a night drive session, Don.
Oh, what?
You know, start off with Drive by Incubus. It's gonna
Nice.
be a mood.
That's gonna be "Wish You Were Here."
Oh, that was good too.
Nice.
The whole album's dope.
Anyways, back to Dan.
Oh right. So yeah, growing up, so with that computer, since he was a videographer, Photoshop was installed in there conveniently. I had no use for Photoshop at that time. During that time, it was a lot of like Xbox games, a lot of PSP games. And during that time, I was really engaged on the GameSpot forum sites. So whether it be like game discussions, game reviews, I even
Strategy.
like oh, especially the walkthroughs. Yes, that was really important.
That was
Um,
game changing.
It was.
Well,
it was.
literally, like game changing, but you know, the
Yeah.
strategy guides before we're getting to like buy them and stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, being on the forum sites, I realized that people had like individual graphics for themselves in the bottom of their posts. And then under that, like, you always see like really cool ones, and I started seeing some like really cool graphics. At that time, I was really into like Soul Calibur 2, the fighting game.
Hey,
Yeah, and so I
What's
saw a
the
lot.
on Dreamcast.
No, on Xbox. I
Oh,
had the
shit.
version with Spawn.
Oh shit.
Oh,
Yeah.
Soul Calibur 2.
Soul Calibur 2. Yeah, for
Yeah.
Xbox. I remember at that time there was one for like GameCube had their own, like they had Link
Yeah.
for theirs, and PlayStation had Heihachi.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really dope.
Remember Valdo? That motherfucker was weird.
Say who? Waldo?
Voldo.
Valdo.
Oh
Like,
he's
yeah,
He's always thrusting.
yeah.
Busting.
He's always thrusting everywhere.
It is super weird. Yeah, Belinda, he's like this kind of like BDSM fighter character, and he's really creepy to fight
Like
against.
his style is creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, because of that,
Memories.
yeah, just seeing a lot of those graphics, I eventually had the inspiration to create my own graphics. You see something cool, and even from like an early age, I was like, I could do something like that. Why not? Let's try it. Sorry, I'm like
Oh, okay.
toggling speaker view right now. Anywho, so with that being said, with the forum sites, which was really dope, I was able to eventually find some tutorials online. There were a lot of forum sites that were active. There were a lot of graphic design forum sites that were active, and the community was amazing. Like they would literally screenshot and like illustrate an entire tutorial in
Yeah.
PNGs. You know, it's a lot. It was a lot different back then. Now we have YouTube. You know,
Video.
you could literally like watch someone do it. But back then, it's like
It was-
step 1, click over here.
No, actually, I prefer it like that.
Yeah.
Do you like the videos or do you like that way?
I'm a little more of the video. I learn quicker
Mm.
when I see someone actually like doing it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it just makes me move a lot more quicker.
Yeah.
I like step-by-step guides though, you know, like
Mm.
little.
I feel like people
little
video take too
infographics.
long. Like,
Has to be
some-
under
It
3
depends
minutes.
on what I'm trying to fix.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, that was my method of learning back then. So you know, I was creating small like 100 pixel by 300 pixel banners. I was downloading these like Cinema 4D like effects that people were uploading at that time. It was just really like abstract
shapes?
computer graphic. Yeah.
So you made other people's banners and stuff?
I was making my own at that time. Yeah.
Okay.
So around that time, I was learning like a lot of things like outer glow.
Ooh.
Filter render clouds is like ingrained in my head for some reason. I think that's just like the
You can do
go-to
hella
way.
stuff with that.
Yeah, it was just a go-to way to get kind of like texture in the background.
Texture. Dan is all about texture. If you want to know anything about him, it's that.
Recurring theme.
Yeah. But yeah, so I started like creating some signatures for myself. These are signature images that would be attached under your forum post, basically.
What was your username? Because that's usually what's on it, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
What
what's your
is it?
username?
Oh no. It's
All right,
It's
so
the username.
yeah, so at that time, I was playing really heavily this game called Ridge Racer on PSP.
Ooh.
Amazing soundtrack. I still listen to it to this day. Just a lot of
I
like
forgot about that.
yeah, just a lot of jazz funk influences. You're racing like at 120 miles per hour, and like there's like ghost trails when you drift, and like it's just super cool.
It was like a more slick Need for Speed.
It was a lot more peaceful too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's one particular track, you guys could look it up later. It's called Naked Glow. It was from Ridge Racer 4. And at that time, I was also really into like Flash Revolution because I couldn't afford like always going to like DDR all the time, the arcade machines. So eventually became Step Mania, and then Step Mania, like people are like, oh, we should challenge
oh
one
dude,
another.
I love Step Mania, man.
Yeah.
That shit was such a time killer in high school.
Yeah,
I love that.
That was a vibe.
Yeah,
yeah, man.
For people who don't know, Step Mania is basically
DDR for your fingers.
DDR on the computer.
Wow.
Yeah.
This we all hear playing. All you hear is
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
is
wonder
this-
if we can. I need to pull that up.
But yeah, so at that time on Flash Revolution, there was this producer called Super Green X, and he went by SGX. And I remember thinking that was like the coolest thing. And then
like the letters.
Yeah, just SGX. And so I was like, you know what? Naked Glow X, NGX. Let's do that, you know? And so
Naked Glow NGX.
Yeah.
What?
I don't know. It was abbreviated to NGX. I don't know.
It's pretty raw. It's pretty edgy.
Thank you. Yeah, it was
So
definitely-
layered.
It's definitely a conversation starter when I was using it for like video game handles. People were like, "Oh, Naked Glow, like the fuck is that?" You know, it sounds suggestive. You know?
That's what I'm saying. Like, and then you got an X in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I thought it was the coolest thing. It had sentimental value for me, so I ran with it for a long time. I think if you like Google search Naked Glow X, you could still find.
We should put that on the shirt.
It's okay, please don't. But you can still find like my old GameSpot reviews on GameSpot.
You know what? I've done more embarrassing stuff before. Like I used to write some fan fiction stuff.
Oh damn! I didn't know that.
What?
Back in the day, you know.
What?
Don't.
Oh, man.
You're not gonna. I'm not giving you guys my username for that. But
It's okay.
I'm not even gonna tell you what I wrote for either.
Whoa.
So Naked Glow SGX.
No, it was just Naked Glow X in one word.
Oh.
But yeah, so through that, I started, you know, when you find one tutorial, you start looking for the next tutorial, and afterwards it kind of snowballs. you start realizing that there's different styles you want to explore, and there's just like a whole world of using this software called Photoshop that I barely knew how to use. So
how old were you then?
this is probably when I was like 14 or 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Freshman high school.
Something
Freshman,
like that.
sophomore.
Yeah. So in middle school, a lot of us from James Denman Middle School, we'd go over to SF State for their arcade to play DDR. But it was mainly like doing those trips so frequently that like DDR eventually like led me to like Stepmania. I just wanted to dig deeper. I just had a lot of like, I really enjoyed that music growing up. It played like video game music and anime music, played like a really
J-pop.
Yeah, especially J-pop. Shouts Bitada Hikaru.
Oh yeah, that's a throwback
Dude, that's
right
a-
there. That's a
That's
throwback.
right there.
There was also I remember the music video, dude. There was like a music video I think back then where like I remember their photographer he like poured chemical all over his eyes and then went blind.
because I'm a girl.
Is
Or
it? I
you're-
think that might have been it, dude.
It's,
That was such a trip.
Who was the
man.
artist? It was.
I forgot what the song was.
It was big though. Like this.
It was
is like
really big when I
because it's
remember
a
watching.
movie-
I was like, that really
you can
like
see music videos that had like actual like short film stories and shit.
yeah, it felt yeah. It
It's
wasn't like
because
a,
I'm a girl, but I'm trying to remember the artist. Like, who the fuck is the artist? If you know it in the fucking chat, like, type
yeah.
that
Please
shit out.
throw it up. Yeah, because
It
that was
was
a
That started.
that was
like
really
the root
well
of like
done.
K drama almost. Too.
yeah, man, for sure, definitely. That one was like a that was a little dramatic little short story.
It was
Um,
trippy because he gave him his eyes. I was like,
Yeah, dude, that was a
that
trip,
sounds
dude. We
familiar.
gotta.
That
Yeah, our,
That's
No.
the
She-
intro to a horror
Remember-
movie too, by the way.
oh, is it?
Yeah, it's
Dude,
a
that
Chinese
was
horror
a-
movie where like she's blind, she gets new eyes, but these eyes can see ghosts.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Dude, also, there was like this TV series back in the 90s called My Date with a Vampire. I don't know if you ever watched that shit.
Yes. Are you kidding
Dude,
me?
that shit was like, man, I was
Basically,
consumed in that,
For
man.
Kaz and Dawn, basically, it was this whole drama series about like this handsome vampire, and he exists in this like vampire community, and that whole drama and dynamic is between the engagements with him and other vampires or humans. But that shit got huge, like
Yeah, it was
for
huge.
Chinese media. It was huge. There was like movie adaptations, like there's like My Date with Vampire 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like, and these are like 300 episodes like per season. It was hella wild.
Yeah, like you lived in it. I was living in it. Like,
Yeah.
I remember when they were trying to like get rid of vampires, they had like this yellow talisman, but like they would like put it on their heads, like into
it
their
has to be on the forehead.
yeah, like rather.
Yeah.
And then it would like go over their face a little bit, like in neon style.
Yeah.
It was kind of crazy, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it was how monks control vampires. You basically just toss a talisman and like they start listening to you.
Yeah, the love story in it was hella dramatic too.
And there was a
Like
love
it was
story.
like a
I found the video.
like a love triangle. Yeah. Huh?
oh, I found the other video, the one with the girl.
Oh, you
nice.
did?
Throw it in the chat.
Yeah.
Throw it in
Yeah,
chat.
throw it in chat,
Kiss is
please.
the artist.
Nice. Oh yeah, dude, that was yeah.
I don't remember
That's
that, but yeah, that's the video. Though.
Oh, it's Korean.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was like the first one I ever seen.
I do want to emphasize a duo that Don just mentioned a while ago called M-Flow. These two were this duo in Japan. I know Verbal, I don't remember the DJ guy, but it was basically
Yeah.
a rapper and a DJ duo. These guys collaborated with everyone, dude. Like everyone in the industry, and like they made like bops. Like it was just super good, like really
It's a
well
bop.
produced. Yeah, dance
Yes.
music, a lot of concepts. Verbal, I believe, is the current husband of Yuna from Ambush. Am I pronouncing her
They're-
right?
Are they? Are they a couple?
I thought they were. I thought
No,
they
they just work together for ambush design.
I take that back. Okay, so they work together.
Oh, they're not together.
They're not together. I don't
Oh
think.
shit.
Maybe they're work wives. Or,
Yeah.
Yeah. I
They-
remember Verbal saying that he was actually Korean, but he grew up in America also. But he like he was recording a lot of his tracks in Japanese. So
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would recommend anyone to check that out.
Yeah, his partner Yoon, she's Korean but raised in Japan. Yeah, they made those
like a hot
POW
stuff
chains. back
I
in the
remember
day.
like when Kanye's like Glow in the Dark tour was kind of like popping. Like at that time when Ambush was kind of first starting out, they had like those like knuckle pows, right?
POW chain, yeah, and
Yeah.
the Jesus chains and shit.
And the
They made that
Jesus
pop
It's so
off.
sick to be in Harajuku during that time.
Yeah, yeah. Gwen Stefani at that time, man, crazy. Yeah, so just going back with the forum sites, it eventually, so from GameSpot, I eventually started going more into anime forum sites. Why? Because there are a lot of tutorials on how to use a pen tool. A lot of people were cutting out renders of like high quality renders of these animes and, you know, cutting them out to allow other users to create signature banners with them or other graphics.
Like assets.
Yeah, it was definitely it was a community crowdsourced, you know, where people were just like submitting like free work, like, hey, here's a cutout of this anime character, here's a cutout of this anime character,
And that's you can make your SIGs and
right.
graphics.
Yeah, and like the higher the quality, like something about it just kind of like attracts you when you see like something that's really big and it's like high res.
You can just fuck with it.
Yeah. So through the anime forum sites, there were more tutorials there, and it led me into. So I made like online friends at that time, and then that eventually led me into some graphic design forum sites where they would have like weekly competitions.
More like design,
Yeah, you know, it was super casual, you know.
like Photoshop battles.
Yeah, they were like low key, like politics a little bit. Kind of felt like high school, you know. Like they were like the cool group that you want to be a part of. You know, they always like release hot shit. They always get hot engagement.
Yeah, you got that one dude that's like a moderator. He has 53,000 posts.
Yeah,
It's like all about awards and shit.
dude. The moderators were crazy, man. It was almost like a badge of honor, you know, to like be a moderator for a forum site. You know,
For a bigger.
Oh, we're
yeah.
coming back into Twitch world and like.
I know. Now it's just
like
a button,
what?
Like,
Like,
hey,
we're
yeah.
going back to mods now. Like
Yeah.
Yo, forums were. I love that era of the internet where it was like.
it was a
seemed
lot
way
more engaging, you know.
And now it's just like people are just assholes on the internet, but
For real.
yeah, it was like almost really community, you know.
It was. Yeah. But yeah, so through like the forum sites and just putting a lot of work out, this was around the time I started entering college, and I eventually got into SF State, and I put myself under a visual arts communication major. So I actually entered college as a graphic design major. I didn't take any of the what are the classes that are kind of geared towards your major?
A core class.
Core
or
classes,
Foundational?
yeah, core classes actually. I was all taking like just general classes.
Your airlet, your GEs and stuff.
Exactly. So by the time I hit sophomore year, this was when I was about to sign up for the core classes. Around that time, I was introduced to weed, basically. And I jumped in it, dude, like every day, you know, just like wake and bake. It was a thing, you know, like it's a thing when you grow up, like you're in college, you know,
Like,
it just
that's the
feels,
lifestyle.
It feels like your routine, you know, like people
Yeah.
get
It
up,
feels
shower,
right.
brush your teeth, you know. Some people get up,
Bong
hit the
hit.
bong, and then you start your
Yeah.
day.
You had roommates, right?
I did.
But you weren't able to be productive on it.
It's not that I wasn't able to be productive about it. I started thinking a lot. You know, I think,
stuff.
yeah, prior
Yeah.
to, you know, you're kind of like on
Yeah.
this autopilot of like, I'm just living life. I don't really know what I want to do. Yeah. I'm
Oh,
just
so
gonna
like
play
you weren't on your
games.
path yet. You
I
weren't
wasn't.
on your path yet.
I wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
And smoking a lot just really made me insecure about my future as a designer. It made me like the most dominating thought that I had was someone anywhere in the world that's probably 5 years old can recreate what I do for a living. How do I compete with that? You know?
Sure.
And yeah, that thought just kept running over and over in my head. So eventually I started like talking to some friends. I was like, hey, you know, like I'm thinking about business major, but I don't know what kind of major I should go into. I eventually thought about accounting. I don't know how the hell anyone thinks about accounting. But I distinctly remember because of my fear at that time, I knew entering accounting, since everyone in the business field was like, oh, you don't want to do accounting, you know, that's just hella hard. It made me feel like if I was an accountant, competition would be a lot less low. You know, that it would be something that every business needs, but not everyone wants to do. Therefore, getting a job would be super easy for me. So,
Was it?
Because accounting, it's like a whole nother like academy on its own, man. It's really weird for people who are in accounting majors. Why? Because when you go into the accounting field, you know, you think you were the only one who thought of this brilliant idea that no one else wants to do accounting. You figure out there are hella people in there, like they grew up like, I wanted to be an accountant since I was a kid, you know. How do you even think about that? I don't know. But during that time, I like took it hella seriously. I live and breathe accounting. I was at my final years at SF State. I had a reputation amongst my friends for just always being available at the library because I'd always just be in front of a textbook. Was I studying all the time? Maybe not, you know, but I was just always in the library. Accounting wasn't something that I would say was intuitive, but it was something that made sense to me. You know, I think a big misconception about accountants are that they're like math wizards. It's more so understanding a method of
organization.
It's just a process. It's just another process of like when you're fed with information, what do you want it to look like? I'll put it into a report that makes sense to you, you know?
Sure.
So yeah, within accountants, within accounting, kind of like the major in SF State, I met Jared, who was my housemate at this time through like some summer classes. And then we just kind of clicked off very well. At that time I was living in Park Merced. I would come over to now Arch, where I currently live. But I'd come to this house and like at that time he was like, yo, I'm making like a little bit of music, you know, like you want to like check out the beats? And I'm like, oh yeah, for sure. You know, like I'm all about electronic music. Are you kidding me? And then, so yeah, I graduated and I moved in here into Arch. And then at that time I was like clear cut, like I know for a fact I'm trying to get into the big four. For big accounting four. Majors,
Deloitte.
Yeah, exactly. For accounting majors, the big four are like the top 4 accounting firms. If you work there, it's kind of like bragging rights, you know. It's almost as if you're going to college and you gone to Berkeley. You know, like it's just like
Ivy League.
Yeah, top tier of the food chain. Yeah,
it's the money makers.
Yeah. Sure. So I forgot to mention during one of the last years I joined a fraternity actually.
What?
Yeah.
You went to SF State?
SF State. Yeah, I know, right?
What?
So.
For what? Accounting?
You were a frat boy?
You're a frat boy?
I am. So this
frat did you?
Let me pitch you
I
guys.
just wanna,
let me pitch you guys. So at that time,
Chat said frat boy Daniel.
Oh man. Shit. Oh, what's up, Wes?
My bad.
What up, Wes?
QBR, bro.
At that time, I was in Asian Student Union at SF State. You know, you're trying to look for friends. At SF State, we had a reputation for
being involved, you know?
Yeah,
So
we had
basically
a reputation.
the nerdiest frat that you could find.
Ish. We had the college campus has a reputation for just being a commuter school, right? People go there, you finish your classes, you go straight home. So in other words, if you're trying to make friends, the trick was you have to look for organizations to join. And at that time, I was like dancing a lot. Choreo dance, by the way.
You were on a team?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was in Project M.
Can you break a little
nice.
choreo for us?
No, thank you.
Pull up a YouTube video.
No, thank you.
You have videos online?
I don't know. So anywho, at ASU, I had one friend, Steve, Korean dude, super calm, chill guy. Oh, what's up, Dan? All the time. He's not high, by the way. He's just super chill.
He's just like that.
Yeah, I remember catching up with him. I think during, I think it was like second semester of my junior year. He was like, hey, I was just asking like, oh, what you been up to? He's like, oh dude, I just like crossed over in this fraternity. I'm like, you? You know, it's like Don telling me he's like in a fraternity. I'm like, you know, what are you doing in a fraternity? And he's like, oh, don't get, I know, like don't get it all mixed up. I know like the misconception with fraternity is, you know, like beer pong bros, you know, like
fuck yeah,
some
bro.
really like masculinity shit. So yeah, that was my perception. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing like in a fraternity? And he was like, oh, you know, like this is not a normal fraternity. This is like a co-ed fraternity that is business related, but open to all majors. right? And so I was thinking like, oh, okay, like that sounds interesting. Like, what did you learn? What'd you learn? And he was like, I breeze through interviews hella easily now. I'm like, oh, like that's something I'm gonna need to know how to do. So I was like, okay, like tell me more, you know. Eventually he introduced me. It's called Alpha Kappa Psi, AK Psi, at SF State. We were the Psi Kappa chapter. At that time, they like 2 semesters before me were the founding fathers. So he was alpha class, and if I were to rush, I would be beta class. And just for context, like in other campuses, this is one of the oldest fraternities, but it's like brand spanking new at SF State.
Sure.
So I was like, okay, like why not, you know? So I joined it. I rushed. I was president of my class. Finished, and during that time,
you were president of your class.
I was president of the beta class.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Like you're like valedictorian? Like, so
I was VP of finance. I was VP of finance.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you rush, like, do you have to do like calculations?
Nah. The hazing process. There was no hazing process for AKSI, by the way.
Yeah.
For me, I wouldn't tolerate that shit, dude. It would have been super
be like,
stupid.
fuck that.
Yeah. If, like I'm too self-aware to, you know, I smoke so much. Like, how are you gonna tell me like I need to put bricks and walk around campus and treat everyone like, oh,
just
hello,
humiliating.
mister, you know?
Yeah.
Granted, one of the things was that you have to acknowledge the brothers, you know, while you're rushing as Mr. or Mrs. or Miss by their last name, you know? So it just felt
That's
like
not bad.
basic manner.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, I could do that. But what was really dope was that it really forced me to talk a lot about myself. It really forced me to talk a lot about my goals verbally, and also be able to handle a long duration of an interview. Why I was mentioning this was because my president at that fraternity at the time when we graduated, he was HR for this one company, this new financial tech company in SF called Lending Club. And then as I graduated, he was like, hey, you should join, you know, like we work together very well. I think you have a great time here. So I applied for the accounting position. But at that time, like their entry level position, they required something like 3 to 4 years, you know, of experience for a starting position. I'm like, bro,
What?
like, yeah, I can't do that. Like,
For entry level, how you
for
have
entry
3
level.
years? How do you
Yeah.
have 3 years if you're entry level? What the hell? That doesn't make
Yeah,
any sense.
that
I
makes
don't
no
know.
sense.
Tech companies at that time. This is 2014, by the way.
There's
Tech
jokes
companies
about
were
that shit.
just kind of like popping off, you know. But
It's
they're
on the
like,
up.
yeah, they're like, hey, we like your resume. Come check out this other position. So I was a credit specialist there for a while, just verifying applications at that time. I was fortunate that another P-bro at that time, her sister, over at PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, which was one of the big 4 accounting firms, she had to go on an assignment overseas, and she was like, yo, I know you live and breathe accounting. Like, are you interested in the position? I'm like, bro, are you serious? And so submitted an application. I was studying for my CPA exam at that time. I failed all 4 attempts, and I didn't tell them that during the interview, but they were like, hey, so what's your plans with the CPA? You know, because as CPAs under an accounting firm, it increases your value. But I told them like, yeah, I'm currently studying, you know, I'm gonna retake the exams. I didn't do too hot the first time. And they're like, all right, cool. You know what? Like, we need this position filled. Like, as soon as I left the interview, as I was exiting the elevator, they gave me the call and were like, when can you start? And yeah, that was my start with the big 4. So I felt like at that time, I'm like, yo, like I'm hitting milestones.
You accomplished the goal.
I'm like hitting milestones, in my life. Yeah, 2 years in PwC, I realized I was a shitty ass accountant. This was just something I was not good at. I was really not good at it. Tax, I was in the tax department. I don't know why I was in tax. I didn't even take a tax course in college when it was one of the alternatives. You could take audit or tax. But I just realized I was a shitty ass tax accountant. Like, I could not retain all the tax codes that they were requiring me to.
There's too much.
My seniors were kind of like, hey Dan, I know you're a nice guy, but what the fuck, dude? And then like all my all the directors I was working with, like I had this one super nice director from the UK, and like she just gave it to me like a lot of times. You know, she was just like,
What do you mean?
as in like, this tax
Like
return
just-
that you this tax return that you prepared for me, like we've talked about this a couple times, like these errors are unacceptable, and just stuff like that. And I like you start sweating.
off.
Yeah, I'm like I don't know.
Was it a
like,
lot of pressure?
yeah, I'm like literally trying my best over here. I'm just not retaining it. And she's like, we talked about this last week. I'm like, I don't remember what we talked about last week because I probably wasn't listening. Like for accounting, it was one ear out the other. I was just happy that I was at PwC. Anywho, so with me,
You were definitely not made for that job.
I was not, dude. So at that time, Jared, my housemate, was also in an accounting firm. We, at that time, were at Arch, and at this time we had 3 friends that always came over. It was Han, Quan, and Jan. If you guys are in the chat, love you guys. But there was 5 of us always here. We would always just be vaping and playing 13, for basically every night, listening to music, smoking, vaping, and 13. That was just
What's your
routine.
mod?
Yeah,
13.
Yeah,
What's your mod vape?
yeah, I did have a mod vape.
You cloud bro?
Do you roll your own coils?
I had before. I had done that before.
Yeah, I had homies.
Blowing O's is what Wes said in the chat.
Oh yeah, bro. Ghosting. That's something you just do subconsciously. But at that time, what was great about this friendship amongst these 5 were that we'd always pitch our business ideas to one another. During that time, Jared started producing a lot of fucking music. And he'd always be sharing with us, trying to get some feedback.
Jared is just a machine, man.
That guy.
He's a machine.
Yeah, shout out to Jared Cleofe, man. A lot of how I am positioned right now was due to the fact that he just made a shitload of music, and he was like, hey, I know you used to do Photoshop going into college. Can you make some cover arts for me? Right? And so why not? Why not?
Just like that.
Yeah, just like why not? Sure. And then at that time, I was taking photos with my phone. I was
Taking phones with your photos.
taking photos with my phone. And then I'll throw them into Visco, and then I'll throw them into Photoshop. At that time, I was super into tropical plants. Still am, but not as romantically,
Tough.
I guess. Yeah, it was an aesthetic, that I really gravitated toward.
I think you could use one behind you.
Maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Maybe.
Now that
feel like everyone's on
the
plants
blue
now.
tape
Yeah.
is gone.
Yeah, no, the whole plant, the whole resurgence of water your plants, it felt parallel, with around the time that I was really into tropical plants. But yeah, so with that being said, I started he's like, I got another track next week. Oh, I got another track. Oh, next week I got another track, and we were just releasing constantly.
Shout out to Jared too, because we would have never met if he didn't bring you to lunch with him.
Right.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So eventually, I was not getting satisfied with the iPhone quality, the image resolution. For the cover arts, it just wasn't hitting the way I wanted to. So at that time, one of my old housemates, Frankie, he was a videographer and photographer himself. He was like, dude, you should get you should invest in the camera, get maybe just he was talking about there's new mirrorless technology. These cameras are super light nowadays. If your budget's this much, you could go ahead and purchase some. And so I did. I eventually bought a Sony A6000. And
Is that the one that you left in your Uber one night?
that was Lyft. Yeah.
Or Lyft?
Yeah, I came back from a photo shoot when I was working with Gabe from the Brooklyn Circus. We were over in, I think, the Google campus. They were doing these, they were allowing brands to do pop-ups. And he was like, hey, I just need some extra hands and also someone to take BTS photos. I'm like, sure, got you. Yeah, when he was like, where's those photos? I started looking around for my camera and later realized I forgot it on the lift. And then when I caught the lift guy, obviously he was like, what camera? I was like, fuck, yeah, it was an A6000 35mm fixed prime lens. It had like a camera strap on it, like extra batteries. I had like the battery grips on it too. It was like the whole shebang. But I just forgot it there. Anywho,
I remember when you texted me about that, I was like, oh shit, dude. Dude, I
Rest
felt
in
that.
peace.
Yeah. So why I bought the camera was to improve the quality of my cover arts, and then it eventually, I eventually started like going deeper into designing cover arts. I had a few other friends who hit me up and were like, hey, I like your aesthetic. You know, it looks really nice and clean. Like, can you make some for me too? I was like, yeah, for sure. And I started like, I was like, I should charge. You know? So my first couple of ones, I think were like $25 for cover art. And it eventually became like 50, and it eventually became like 75. But Jared always had a special deal because that guy, he just made too much music, you know? So I'm not trying to like run up a bill with him. You know, he was one of the homies. I was very mindful of that. But
What do you pay you with?
Huh?
What do you pay you with?
I think it was like
Food?
yeah.
Food?
I don't remember, to be honest. It's being a good housemate. I don't know.
Clean the bathroom.
Maybe doing dishes.
I'll smoke you out, bro.
But because he was putting out so much work that required such an intense demand from me, it really kind of like built confidence in me to consider doing this full time. And keep in mind, like at work, I was having hell. You know, I was at PwC, not enjoying like
anxiety.
I wasn't able to. I think like the biggest kind of issue with me was that I can't culturally connect with my coworkers, both at Lenin Club and at PwC. Just at San Francisco workforce, like happy hour, talk about sports, always complain about protesting.
Just didn't connect.
Yeah, it felt. I just never connected.
They're complaining about protesting. This is the first BLM.
This was
stuff.
right. I distinctly remember I had like a verbal argument with one of my coworkers, like in the office space. He was basically saying like, if you're gonna be protesting, why the hell are you disrupting the lives of normal workers? You know, like by like blocking off the BART stations, for example. I have to pay my bills. I need to go into work. These protests don't do anything but just like get in my way. And I was telling him like, dude, like we should be thanking these protesters because just like you having bills, these guys have bills too, but they're out there voicing their opinions to basically make your life easier. And like he was Latino, the guy who's complaining, you know? And yeah, we like bickered like back and forth for probably around like 20 minutes. It felt like a really long time, but yeah, you know, those kind of events just kind of cemented that I don't feel like I connect with this workforce. You know, I just felt like oddball all the time. So that combined with, you know, me feeling more confident, I'm more comfortable doing like these cover art designs, I eventually made the decision to do freelancing full time because my logic was I should do this
Transition.
Yeah, I should do this transition when my responsibilities aren't as intense. You know, like when I'm like young at this age, when I don't have like kids yet, for example. Yeah, you know, like I could go ahead and, you know, try this out without that many responsibilities. So I went into it, you know, confident that I didn't know how to prepare like tax returns for like high VP positions who were like working overseas, but I knew how to prepare general tax returns. So I was really comfortable with like the tax process of what kind of, a lot of people are warning me about, you know, when you're going to freelancing, you're basically starting your own business. You really want to know how to prepare your tax returns.
Welcome back to taxes.
Right. And I felt very fortunate that with that background, I was able to comfortably kind of, go into the other side.
Yeah, because the other VP stuff, it's like so complicated,
Dude.
Right? Like they have so many loopholes. These motherfuckers are trying to like hide money somewhere.
Bro, it felt like slaving away for someone who makes like 4 extra zeros behind like their total like yearly like income, and you're basically
helping them
working to help them save more money. Yeah,
fuck that.
It didn't really feel right.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
But I like that. Like, so you were able to start helping out other creatives when it comes to their like starting
Right.
business.
Yeah, I was always really vocal about like, hey, if you have any tax questions, do let me know because I can help you.
You're an expert.
You know?
I mean, could you help? Could
Not
you
an
help?
expert.
Because it doesn't sound
I
like
can't-
you were the best person.
No, I wasn't
Thanks
good.
for what he was doing, though,
Right.
'cause-
Okay.
Let me be more specific with what I was doing at PwC. I was part of the global mobility team. My type of tax returns that I had to prepare were for employees whom their employer has sent them overseas. So as a U.S. citizen, oh man, we're talking about tax. As a U.S. citizen, you basically have to pay tax
Part of it.
no matter what part
Where
of
you're
the
at.
world you're in. You know, other countries may be different, but then because of that, some employers incentivize their employees by hiring PwC. Like, hey, if you go, like Belinda, if you go work at Singapore for a while, I know like the tax return might be something you're worried about. Don't worry, we're gonna hire PwC. They're gonna handle your tax returns. We're gonna give you this like stimulus package also to go out there, and PwC will make sure that that's like you won't be taxed on that. Are you interested? You know, so those were the type of tax returns I was like dealing with. When it comes down to self-employed people, like that's already something I already learned how to do at Lending Club. So yeah, if you guys have any tax questions, shoot me a DM. I can help you guys out.
I need to get with you though, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm serious, man. just let me know. Anywho, so fast forward a little bit into this freelancing career. Basically, one day Jared hit me up and was like, "Yo, I don't know if you're free at this day. I'm trying to meet up with this like videographer. She goes by Zen Rabbit." And
Ooh.
at that time,
Who that?
I don't know. I didn't know.
Who is that? Who is that?
At that time,
Do
you
I
know,
know?
my intentions were to still move into fashion. That's kind of like a bigger pillar of me personally on my personal mission.
Like a passion.
Yeah, kind of like my purpose actually. Nüfly just kind of it was in juncture, yeah, with that purpose. But yeah, my a huge part of like what drove me to freelance also was that I really loved fashion, you know, and I hated that I came from like the streetwear background and everyone here, it's just fast, like quick consumption, you know, always the next thing, always the next drop, you know, like you will never be satisfied, you'll always be broke, you know, and it felt like, you know, I started associating my personal value with what I owned.
Sure.
So to graduate from that, I was lucky to have one friend around me. His name was Han. He was part of the Arch Boys. He was
Is that what you guys called them?
Arch Boys.
Arch Boys.
ARCH.
Arch boy. We need merch.
He at that time was just he was a ex buyer for Nordstrom. He had
Nice.
this like extensive knowledge on like the fashion industry, and like every time like I talk to him about it, like he answers my questions, you know.
Yeah.
So he kind of propelled me into like this kind of conscious consumerism where like when you buy things, you have to really pay attention to who manufactured it, where it's manufactured, like the country really kind of dictates the price, and also like the wages, the cost basically of what was put into making that clothes. You know, like a big thing that really stuck with me were like $10 t-shirts. You know, at that time I was shopping a lot H&M, you know, especially coming from AK Psy, we were shopping a lot H&M to buy like button ups and everything and dress clothes. But
Almost one-time use.
yeah, the tricky thing that he always asked me was like, how do you justify a $10 t-shirt? No, shipping is already more than $10, you know?
Sure. So how much does it cost to produce this?
Yeah. And so at your convenience, someone else in a third world country is not being paid a livable wage. And then on top of that, it's the mentality of purchasing a $10 t-shirt. When you buy something for $10, anything that's $10, you don't give a shit about it. It's worth $10, you know? Now,
Fast fashion.
correct. So now if you start becoming more intentional with how you start purchasing your clothes, you start looking for more particular brands that are themselves very intentional with their clothes. High prices start making more sense to you. Why a hoodie, for example, is like $200. Oh, first and foremost, it's made in the US, it's made in California. There's a lot of strict labor laws in California. But also like there were no shortcuts taken. You know,
Yeah.
you know that what you're purchasing will last you a long time. But in addition to that, when you buy something for 200, you kind of baby it. Like, I can't get stains on this, you know.
You're more cautious about it.
Yeah, you start taking care of more of it, and your perception on clothes changes a lot. So that kind of like understanding and wanting and willingness to communicate this was a lot of what I was trying to do when I first started freelancing. I was applying to all, I literally walked into like every clothing boutique in San Francisco and was like, yo, you guys need a photographer? I shoot photos. That was not the right approach. But
You were just trying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't you
time.
say you
What's
got
out
with
there.
Brooklyn Circus?
I
you don't know
eventually
sometimes.
got with Brooklyn Circus.
Which is, a good one to get with.
It just sucked that during the time I got with it,
It was towards
2 years. I think a year and a half later, like they basically closed their doors.
It's toward tail end of his lifespan.
Right. But
I remember running into you on the street when you and Pete were
when I was like wheeling that chain stitching machine over it, you're like, oh, what's up, Dan? I'm like, what the fuck, Belinda? I'm sorry, I gotta move this across like the fucking street right now. And Gary is nasty.
No, I think I helped
Seems
you
like it would've
guys
been a good
too.
picture.
Like,
Did.
yeah,
She did.
came out.
Yeah. But along that time, around that time, so just going back to like when Jared was like inviting me to go hang out with his Zen rabbit, I was kind of like, sure, why not, because at that time I was still trying to work for like a clothing boutique to push my mission, and yeah, first impressions, like just super chill homie, like Belinda's like very like upfront. First and foremost, she's very like mellow until something exciting comes across her way, and I think I saw that excitement in her eyes when I showed her like a cover art that I made for Jared, and she was like, "Yo, whoa, this is sick, dude!" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, you think so? Cool, And then I started seeing her at more like shows, like almost like every show I went to, like she would be there, with her little Sony A7R2.
A7S2.
A7S2, yeah. And eventually we started talking about like, hey, like your work is like really dope. Like we started sharing work with one another, like, hey, like look at what I'm making right now, what do you think? She'll give me some feedback here or there, I'll consider it, most of the time not apply it. But eventually I think one of us invited one another. We were like, hey, like you want to have these like joint working sessions at Phil's.
Pretty much almost exactly 2 years ago.
Yeah, I saw your post this morning.
Yeah. So crazy, dude.
Yeah.
And then we also like went to that Jared Jackson and was this a Como show?
Yes.
At Monarch?
Yes.
Like right after?
Yeah.
What a start.
Como?
Zicomo and Jared
Zocomo.
Jackson. Yeah.
Is that Zocomo?
Yeah. But yeah, through those working sessions, I started like telling Belinda a lot about like my stories on like how I was doing a lot of these photo shoots, to push clothes, basically to show and demonstrate my skills. That I was submitting these to magazines with the intention of getting them published. Every photographer wants their work published. It's just another way to upsell yourself, to like a potential client. At that time, I was really into John Elliott, which is this LA brand, designer brand. Though that guy like loves clothes, man. Like he researches the fabrics, the cuts, the pieces, everything is just like everything what I'm looking for. Just really well designed clothes, that will last you a long time.
We're just very detail oriented, you and I think that's what we connected over. Was
right.
Detail.
I was kind of explaining to you my frustrations on how like I was submitting all these works and no one was picking them up, and then I remember we were talking around the idea of like starting some kind of joint project. And I remember I pitched to you like the idea of publishing our own magazine, And then one thing led to another. You came up with the name, and I came up with the tagline. And then like all of our sessions from then on kind of basically became like mood boards, concepts. What do we need to do next?
We had to create a brand Bible.
Yeah.
I was talking to like Rom's Sony label at the time. Like they were sending me some stuff, like possibly working on Toby's project, this Canadian singer.
Right.
And they had sent me his brand Bible. And
Right.
I was like referring to that. I was like, oh, this is what a brand Bible is like in the music industry right now.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And so we just use that as our source.
We're kind
of
of
inspiration.
learning
you know?
as we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
we made our own, and then yeah.
And
that's what we
then
built
eventually,
off of.
yeah, she was like, hey, I know this other graphic designer. I think he'll be really useful for us. And his name's Don. You know, like, I'm going to invite him. I'm like, yeah, sure, dude. Like, bring him on. And, like, Don joined one of the sessions. Don is just a super nice guy. Like, he came there. He listened. You know, we pitched to him. And... you know, he stayed, like he stayed like a couple hours even at Phil's with no real task, because we were just pitching to him and trying to get him a sense of like what we were doing. And then he would just be like, all right, I'm gonna bounce, and then fast forward, like I think it was like maybe a few weeks or months, eventually Belinda mentioned Kaz, and she's like, hey, I know this like motion graphic guy who would be like really dope. And then she shared with me the No Plans flyer.
Yes.
And then I remember I already saw that separately on my own feed and just thinking like, oh, hey, pixel art.
Just came across it.
Yeah, it's hella dreamy.
Yeah.
And I think this is like really parallel with like the aesthetic we're trying to go for, And then
Finding people that are aligned with your style, where you don't have to just teach that, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like you can teach like certain skill sets, but you can't teach someone like your style,
Right.
Like you just find people that are already like owning it, and then
Right.
you build with them.
Right. No, that's exactly it. I think, well, I was telling Belinda from the very beginning that my personal kind of philosophy approaching this music industry, right? Like, we're not stupid, we could see the egos and the personas that people play.
We're just chasing after trends, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we're not like trendy like that. We're not like hype piece.
Right.
stuff.
I think why we connected was that we were just looking for other people like us who just enjoyed what we were doing, enjoyed the whole process of like, I made this, anyone could have made it any way, but I made it like this, So I told her from the very beginning that, coming into this kind of scene, I see everyone as kids, playing in a sandbox together. There will be their cliques here and there, but I'm just looking for people who can have fun with us and build this sandcastle together, basically. And I still think I still think that's a lot to how I approach a lot of things today, and that kind of allows me to protect my inner peace. Also, there's just a lot of days, where like whether it be like internal drama in your life, there's just a lot of like world dramas,
Existential crisis.
right?
Yeah.
That's why it's so
COVID.
important, like who you choose to have around you, because we all are feeding off of each other's energy, and if
Right.
we don't bring good energy into the room,
Right,
then all of us are affected.
right.
And yeah, just
No,
be-
Again, I have a
that's-
question.
Yes.
Big facts.
Okay, I remember you said, you first started actually in the graphic design program, right?
Mhm.
So what do you think would have happened if you just kept going with that versus going into accounting and stuff?
I think I would have still went into the fashion industry some way somehow, but I would have my resume, rather than event flyers and like advertisement assets, would have been like mock-ups.
Sure.
I'm answering that because there was actually a position for a brand called American Giant. American Giant, they basically just make basic high quality wares made in USA, of course. And they didn't have a position for a graphic design open, but I was just pitching, dude. I was sending my resumes and like emails like to everywhere, and I was like, yo, like I fuck with your guys' mission, like trying to keep manufacturing in the US where like there's like really strict labor laws. I want to work here. And then like they eventually forwarded my information to the lead designer over there, and I got an interview. And during that interview, I was like, yeah, here are all my like event flyers, you know, here are all like the faux shot, the advertisement assets that I did for Brooklyn Circus that they used on Instagram. Also, here's some prints that I made. Yeah, you know. Eventually,
What were they looking for?
They were looking for someone who graduated and had like a full like
Textile.
I know how to do packaging. I know how to, you know, like conceptualize and execute, and also demonstrate that I understand like how something on a computer applies to something in the physical realm, because that's something I lacked, you know. Like it wasn't until last year when I started working with my client, current client, Eden Enterprises. Yeah, I didn't understand the relationship between
Print.
doing something digitally and then printing it. That's like it's for any young graphic designer, when you feel like you're like hot shit, I challenge you to start printing your work, because
Physical work.
yeah, you're gonna start realizing that like 72 DPI is bullshit. You're gonna start realizing 1080 by 1080 is bullshit. Like it's too small, you know. Like it'll look super cute on Instagram, it'll look super cute online when you
Different
post
world.
it.
Yeah.
But it's not for print. It's a fraction of the actual image.
Right. When you blow up something on your computer full screen and you see all those glorious details, you're not gonna see it on print.
We need that young 300 DPI.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The young.
So
Yeah.
So I want to add on top of that, the Retina displays for MacBooks are 326 DPI. So if you're exporting anything and you intend Mac viewers to see it, whether it be iPhone, iPhone or anything with a Retina display, 326 DPI is the way to go. Yeah. But yeah, I think that brings us all the way to now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let's bust some questions for him.
Yeah, you guys have any specific questions? Or I can, you know, we are in our second hour. I could switch the gears.
What was your
Hear more
first
fashion.
job
First job.
As ever?
In general.
ever? Yeah, in general.
First job. Okay, first official job or first job I got paid to do something?
First official job, not graphic design or
Jamba Juice.
photography.
Jamba Juice.
Jamba Juice.
JJ.
Ninth and Irving Jamba Juice. My first.
Oh,
my
dude,
first.
I literally just went there with Dawn.
Wait,
dude.
not Ninth and Irving. Ninth and Judah. Sorry, Ninth and
Oh,
Judah.
Yeah, that is
Yeah,
that's the
Ninth
one.
and Judah.
Yeah, that's the exact one.
Yeah. My first stomping grounds were the location on California Street, but that location got shut down and they transferred me over to 9th and Irving. I am a self-proclaimed smoothie master. I was one of the best workers there. It felt very intuitive. I was lucky that a lot of my coworkers at that time
Worked with you.
I think I could say it. It's been years. We were
They're
smoking
slacking.
a lot. No, we were smoking a lot.
Hey.
Like
Oh,
we'd always
shit.
like go into the parking lot and take like smoke breaks, you know, come back hella baked, and like I was still able to operate. And I feel like when you're able to operate high, like it starts becoming second nature to you. You know, you start intuitively doing
sure,
things.
dude.
Yeah.
For
We
sure.
have a
Manager was cool.
question.
Yes.
We have a question in chat. What was your favorite smoothie?
Favorite smoothie. Whew. Okay, it's not on the menu, but
Off menu. Exclusive.
I always really like the acai blend mix. So my order would be the acai the power berry mix, I think. But no raspberry juice, because it usually comes with 2 ounces of raspberry juice. No frozen bananas, actual bananas. A scoop of granola, strawberry, blueberries, and a scoop of whey protein. And it just made this really fluffy, textured, like smoothie.
What color?
It
What
was
color is
like,
it?
I don't know, like light purple because of the acai juice. But
Yeah,
but the
so-
bananas and the whey protein, you know, really kind of like
Set it
fluff
off.
up. Yeah, it fluffs
Oh,
up
so-
the actual substance inside the blender. So
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, man.
We have another
Yeah.
question.
Okay.
What do you do to ground yourself?
Wow.
From Mondalorian.
Wow. I get lost in my head sometimes. That's my method of grounding. I think normally I may come off as an extrovert, but I actually really enjoy time by myself. I think intuitively I'm like a sad boy, but
I'm also intuitively a sad girl, so I guess it makes sense why we're.
Yeah,
I think we all are.
We're all in our feelings, and
whole team, bro.
yeah, when we're like working together, especially individually.
But you're having a bad day. You sent me that Pinocchio gift, like of
him like floating in the water, like head
puddle
down
of
in a
water,
puddle.
like.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, dude, that's the one.
yeah.
We're all
it's-
sad here.
It's more so coming to the acceptance of those feelings and just really allowing yourself to feel the feels. I think embracing feelings, especially for men, is a really important thing that we might not have been taught from a young age.
Vulnerability.
Yeah, you know, being vulnerable,
Being open
yeah,
and-
being comfortable
yeah.
of like saying like I'm having a difficult time right now, you know, amongst like other male friends is just as important, you know. But I was lucky to grow up around two sisters. I believe they influenced me to become a lot more empathetic.
More in your field.
Shout out to Chow Fun.
Hey, Chafang. Thank you, Linda. I
Also,
also
is always active in the chat.
I also want to publicly apologize for kind of being a mean brother to you growing up.
Oh,
Were you? She just talked. She was just doing. He was just playing you up. She was talking about, oh, you taught her how to put peanut butter.
I'm just being honest. Like I wasn't the best brother.
You're a
growing
typical
up.
brother. Typical like big brother.
She always wanted to play like the video games that me and my cousin at that time were playing, you know. But for anyone who plays video games with me, how should I say it? I'm like too good for casual players, but not good enough for tournament play. So I'm always in this kind of weird limbo. And then when I was playing with Linda, you know, like sometimes she wouldn't be able to keep up or anything.
It's like
else.
no competition.
Yeah, you know that I just. Yeah,
Big sis is watching too, laughing my ass off. It's okay.
Yeah, Wes. I was quite the toxic gamer, dude.
Well, there's a
do you
dynamic
talk
when you
a
have
lot of
siblings.
shit?
I don't talk a lot of shit, but I don't take a lot of shit. If people yell at me, I fire back.
Especially your sibling.
Oh,
Yeah.
the T right there.
Hey.
That kind of reminds me when you were talking about like your computer and you have like siblings.
Yeah.
Because like when you got to share all that shit, you know.
Right. You know, I think that was one part that I kind of like all the time whenever she was on the computer, if I wanted to use it, I'm like, hey, get off. You know,
Oh,
like, how is that, brother? You know,
Damn.
so
very assertive.
thank you for being patient with me, and I hope we can grow beyond this
Chow
going forward.
Fong says, "Guess who can beat Daniel at Mario Kart?"
Yo, hey, like real talk though, like she is like
She's
really freakishly good on Mario Kart, dude. Like I'm not too bad on Mario Kart, but when you see someone else like halfway in front of you, like the whole track, and you're doing
Like
your
laughing
best, like you know, your brain kind of like, what am I doing wrong? You know, and like I just remember I kept
She
looking at
literally
Gina.
knows all the shortcuts and just
She doesn't.
The
I don't
perfect
think she does
lines.
she doesn't do like shortcuts all the time. But then like I'll just be playing, and then like I'll be looking at Gina like, how the fuck is Linda so ahead? Like how the fuck? Like it just doesn't make sense. But I just came to accept that that's something she beat me on. So yeah, big props on that. But staying grounded is really important. I think especially as an air sign for myself, we tend to have our head in the clouds all the time. It's really important to get out of your head and also talk to people about what you just thought about in your head too. By having these conversations, I think you'll eventually find your own truth, and it will allow you to stay grounded and I guess present. You know, it's really important, especially like when you're working with a team, that you can't be lost in your own head all the time because it's not fair for the rest of the team.
Yeah. Gotta be able to communicate.
Yeah.
Transparent.
Yeah. All right.
Cool. We have one
Second
more question.
Okay, wait.
Okay.
Can we transition to the
First,
second hour
yeah, let's
though
do that.
while we
Yes.
answer the question?
Yes.
So let's start sharing screen.
Okay.
What advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
18-year-old self?
What were you doing 18?
8?
Yeah, what were you doing at 18?
I don't know. When was this? Early college? 18? This is when I graduated high school. What advice would I give myself?
It's a hard question.
It is.
Because
It is.
like it's such a different mindset.
It is. Yeah. I
Don't smoke too
30-year-old
much.
self gives
no,
you a tip.
I think honestly, like, I think everything.
There's a time and place for everything.
Yeah, everything I went through kind of like led me up to this part. So it's really hard to kind of go back and say like, hey, change something. If anything, it'd be more like keep doing it. Keep
Be
doing
like
what
Tesla.
you're doing. Yeah.
Stop saying sorry.
Stop saying sorry. Do I apologize a lot?
No, I'm telling you.
Oh.
I'm saying that.
Oh, as like, yeah. Actually, stop assuming you know everything. I think that was a lot of what drove me into some kind of quarrels with some friends. I don't know. I always like assumed that I knew a lot of things, but I eventually learned the hard way that assumptions lead to expectations, and when you have expectations, you're literally setting yourself up for some kind of issue.
I would categorize you as an owl from Winnie the Pooh.
I don't know.
If I ran across you,
I don't know the owl.
you don't know the owl.
I don't.
The owl is like knowledgeable. Like, I'm gonna hit you with all the facts. Like, I got, you know what I mean? Like, and that's their basic.
Yeah, I felt like, I knew a lot of shit, and the sooner I reminded myself, well, not reminded, the sooner that I kind of learned that I don't know shit, really kind of like allowed me to be able to learn a lot more faster and deeper than I did at that time. Like when you kind of grow up in a kind of sheltered household, like you kind of create your own realities. But like, especially when it came to politics, that really kind of like it was kind of a glass shattering moment for me. You start realizing that our realities versus what's happening out there versus what's going on in our head are entirely different.
Is your perception of reality that matters.
Right. So 18-year-old Dan, you don't know shit.
Listen more, maybe.
Just don't assume. I assumed so much shit growing up, and
don't make an ass out of you and me, basically.
Yeah, I made some bad decisions. All right, we are in our second hour here. I am here.
But now you're making better decisions, and
I think so.
We gotta learn.
I feel fortunate.
In our own way.
Yeah, I approach things very confidently, but also from a perspective that I don't know a lot of things too. I'm very open to, like, when people have new ideas. I always love contrasting it and talking about it, learning new things also. Like all these sessions that we've done with Nüfly, like, really emphasizes that point that everyone has a different process, and we're here to learn from one another, But before then, I would have been like, nah, that's the wrong way. You gotta do it like this. You gotta do it like that.
There's only one way.
There's only one way. All right. So I was hoping we could do like a mock flyer design and a photo. Maybe we'll just do one photo for now.
Yeah. I'm
referencing this Miles Medina photo shoot because it's also work I have pending. So this is like two birds with one stone, right? I'm gonna share with you guys my photo retouching process, but also get some work done.
Exclusive.
Yeah. So chat or team, I leave it up to you guys to decide which photo you guys want me to edit. We have maybe an interesting one will be kind of like this, where we have like the seamless not going far enough. If you guys want to see how I push the seamless out. No? Okay.
Which one would you want to edit the most? If you're just picking through this, if you can only pick one picture out of all of this, absolute
I know it wouldn't be from this first look, because I think I already know the direction for this first look. So it's just a matter of putting in time for it. I haven't done any retouching for this second or this third look.
Just do the balloon one.
The balloon one? Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do one with... This one looks dope. Maybe this one? Maybe this one?
That one.
This one? Okay,
Or,
all right. Now this will be...
The
this.
one,
This would be a fun challenge because the seamless is peaking.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So, for those joining for the first time too, my process after the photo shoot is I go through the selects and just kind of rate the ones that I know for sure I want to edit. Some of the things I look for are composition and also sharpness, because sometimes, you know, when you're firing away with your model there, giving you multiple poses, sometimes the shots don't come in focus. So focus shots and also a good composition is what I'm kind of looking for. So after doing all of that, you have, like in this case, I have 78 selects, right? The next thing I would do is choose one photo and establish the color grading on it. I cannot emphasize that enough because it makes my process a lot more easier. I think looking at the face first, you usually want to find like a good portrait that works for me, and you want to go ahead and start adjusting the tones to it. So let me show you the raw. This is the raw photo. Not too much different, but just looking at it off top, the colors look a little muted. There's some kind of imbalances in tones with the model's skin color. And also the shadows look a little like grayed. So some of the things I did was mostly like playing with the exposure, the shadows. What I really like doing too is killing the highlights. I know that, you know, normally when you like get your shots, like your highlights are usually your pop of contrast, but what I like about killing highlights is that you really let the details breathe. The details that I specifically look at, because I come from I'm here trying to sell clothes, is clothes, you know. In this case, he has this wool button up, and the dope thing about wool is that there's a lot of textures, a lot of hairs on it, and I want that to kind of shine through. So a simple, you know, just color grading, kind of evening out his skin tone. If you guys want like a more specific tutorial on that, on how we do that or how I do that, do let us know in chat. You know, like we could always organize a show for that too.
Moveset Music asked who styled the shoot.
Miles styled himself. So
maybe talk about like what we asked.
Yeah,
We gave him a mood board.
Maybe we could share the mood. So I'm about to share with you guys a lot of mood boards for the third hour too, because I think that's a big part of this process that a lot of people kind of overlook really quickly. So I'm gonna share the mood board that we sent to Miles, if I remember right. It is here. Hey, here we go. So shout out to Pinterest. Pinterest is a really good website that I use to basically look for images to reference, and also kind of like be able to have it shareable across multiple people really easily, but most importantly, really clearly. I'm gonna switch the scene real quick so you guys can see his full screen. Okay. All right, so this idea with Miles, I knew for a fact that I wanted to play a lot with lighting. At this time, I bought like this whole new lighting set. I was telling Belinda like, yo, like I really want to use it. It's this huge stage light. It's gonna be really cool and really fun to play with, like the shape of the light, you know. So that was one thing that I included in here, some examples. My mission as a photographer leading this is to communicate to the team to have them understand what I'm trying to go for. When everyone's on the same page, the overall photo shoot is a lot more easier. For the seamless tones, I think Belinda told me like she wanted something a lot more natural, you know. At that time, we haven't done like a session interview with Miles yet, so Belinda was our closest contact to Miles, so I was kind of talking to her like, hey, can you tell me a little bit more about Miles? She was like, he's a really like calm guy, he's really collected, he's kind of like in his own head, despite the fact that when he's performing, he's very like talented, he's very natural, you know, he looks like a guy that, you know, has been doing this for his whole life. So I thought color palettes that would reflect that were something a lot more on the earthy tones. So I was kind of telling the team like, hey, you know, like this olive kind of color would be really dope, like an almond color would be really dope. And then Belinda was like, it needs to be a little more dreamier. So we introduced a lavender seamless that worked out really well. So I basically just gathered photos in here, just as references, whether it be poses, aesthetic, mood. All of these basically played into this photo shoot. And so when it came down to styling for what we're doing with Nüfly, we're trying to capture the artists as themselves. So don't buy any new clothes for our photo shoots. Come as you are. And if you happen to rock dope stuff, you just happen to rock dope stuff.
I also just like Amazon Prime that Kermit to my house.
And
that week too.
Yeah.
Or it's not an evil Kermit, but it's meant to be evil Kermit.
Yeah, that was one of the things like Belinda was saying, like, as I was asking her, like, oh, tell me about Miles. Oh, he likes evil Kermit. I'm like, oh, okay. Little dark side Miles. Okay. So yeah, the idea behind these balloons also kind of came from the idea that he's a very quiet guy, and he goes out to, but he, is the spotlight for a lot of these shows.
Parties.
Yeah, my kind of pitch to the team was I wanted Miles to look very still and very kind of collected, but I wanted motion happening around him. And what better way to demonstrate that than balloons? So I bought like these white balloons. I had Kaz on the right side of this, Don on the left side, and then they're like holding it out, and I'll be like, all right, 3, 2, 1, you'll throw all the balloons, and then like as they're falling down, it was like just like, firing away. How many takes? It took like 6 takes or something, right? It was a lot.
It was a lot.
A couple in the bag,
Yeah, as you can see, like you can't really control the balloons. I think this one's really dope. It just looks super abstract and mysterious.
I leveled up during that shoot when I as a balloon thrower.
You can add it to your resume now, man.
Yeah, definitely, dude.
Yeah. So here is the raw image. It's not too different. If anything, I just kind of brightened up the colors, kind of balanced out the skin tones. But color grading will be the first step. The next step is to go into Photoshop and begin retouching. So that's where we're going. So we were just talking about working with high res images at first. Ooh, Belinda has a BTS video playing behind her. We're talking about high res images, right? So what I can recommend for any photographer also, if you're in Capture One, which I would recommend, Lightroom's kind of okay, but if you're trying to really level up, go into Capture One. It's like Photoshop and Lightroom in one software. I'm gonna go ahead and export this or import this into Photoshop as a TIFF. Basically, right now, when it comes into Capture One, it is a raw Canon RAW file. So TIFF files are larger, but they are uncompressed, right? We're trying to maintain as much detail as we can. As I was talking about resolution, I put 326, that just being for Retina displays. So let's go ahead and go into Photoshop. Maybe I'll do this one really quick and then, hey, in the meantime, team, if you guys have any, maybe I'll do like a quick event flyer if you want to think of a roster for me to mock up. Do let me know.
Why don't you make our
Kobe Bryant?
Oh.
Ooh. Or you can make our poster drop flyer.
Poster drop flyer.
Trying to get you to kill 2 birds with one stone.
Poster drop flyer. I don't really know what that poster drop.
We're dropping a poster,
we do our
right?
posters.
Oh, like a mock-up.
Did you eat an edible?
No, I didn't. But thank you for asking. Sorry, my mind's just kind of racing right now. All right,
It's just the naked glow.
Out. Thanks, Kaz. Thank you. All right. You guys just keep that in mind for the lineup, and then I'll continue just with this tutorial. All right.
What would be like a dream lineup? Like a dream, like let's do dream artist.
What genre?
That's what I'm asking you guys.
What genre?
But
I want to see.
Allow me to narrate while you guys.
Dead or alive? Dead or alive?
Up to you. Up to you.
I was kind of playing with the dead concept, but I don't know.
It's too
Let's do
soon,
music.
too soon.
Let's do dead musicians.
Okay.
Dead musicians.
All right,
For
so-
sure, Mac Miller.
Okay, hey, you guys deliberate non-verbally, please. I need to narrate what's going on.
Oh yeah, sorry.
All right. Okay, so the first
I'll come up
step.
with something.
Okay, so the first step I would do inside Photoshop is handle the skin retouching first. This frequency separation is an action you can download and find almost anywhere if you just Google search it. I believe Jessica Kobeisi's action that she shared a long time ago, and I just had action saved. Basically, frequency separation allows you to retouch the colors of an image separately from another layer which has the textures. And let me show you what I mean by that. So my approach when it comes down to retouching is basically to just even out the skin tone. A lot about my approach to general photography is as the photographer and also as a retoucher, it is your job to make the focal point as clear and as quick as possible. So I know for a fact that just looking at this right away, like I know Miles is the sensor, but zooming in, you want to make sure your model looks flattering and at their best. So some of these kind of like skin blemishes are something that I would consider distraction. So just going into the patch tool over here, we're gonna simply just select some like skin tone imbalances and basically is blended in. So I'm gonna select this area, just drag it over into another area that looks right. And it is very easy to go overboard on this. I would recommend just keeping things at a minimal, and if anything, we're just balancing the skin tones. You just want an even skin tone because again, we are focusing on Miles and not his skin. And if people are like, oh, you shouldn't be retouching skin anyways, bro, like, why do you think there are makeup artists? Why do you think there's like a whole industry or a whole profession based on that? People do these in advance, so it's easier on the photographer. Mm-hmm. But if you're the photographer and you don't have that luxury of hiring a makeup artist yet, I know my little sister is a makeup artist, but work with what you got, and yeah. And so yeah, with Miles, like, we're basically just evening out the skin tone. You want to make your model look flattering, right? All right, so that looks pretty good already. I don't need to do too much more, so I'm gonna go into textures. So textures, just my kind of philosophy on textures, if there's something on the skin that's gonna be there longer than 2 weeks, don't touch it, right? That, like, I have a lot of moles on my face. If I were to come back with a photo later and like my moles are cleared, I'm like, I don't think that's an accurate representation of me, but if it's like acne damage from the skin, these do heal, so let's go ahead and just remove some of them. Just find some nice patch of skin. Something as simple as that. There can be another technique too. If you want to open the hue and saturation layer, you can actually pinpoint these red blemishes and actually move the hue slider to make them match a little more closer to the other skin tones. Guys, I haven't done photo retouching in almost like 4 months because of our care package.
You're doing great.
Oh no, I'm happy to do this.
There's a Don Dyson says Dan Ross.
Dan Ross? Oh. Happy mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. You have to accept them as they come. Nice. I think this is good enough. Okay. There we go. Here's some before and here's after, right? It's evening skin tones. You're not changing features on their face. We're more just kind of removing some distractions that even for me, I would say, like, if a makeup artist were to apply makeup on our model, it would look pretty similar to this anyways. This part's a little more subjective, personally for me. When I see like these, what are they called? Neck folds. I usually try to pat them out. Okay. All right. So I don't know how to describe what I'm doing, but just
What?
it's what goes on in my head. I'm just talking out loud. Yeah.
All right, that's the sound that Dan
So-
has playing in the back.
Skin is looking good. I like to now go into the clothes. Do not forget about the clothes. I know that sometimes we, even forget to bring like a lint roller for some of the photo shoots, but for someone like me, I look at clothes and when I see like scuff marks, they can be there, but if they don't have to be, why are they there? It's a distraction. So I am just blending away, taking out.
Look crispy.
anything. Yeah, man. Might not look like a lot right now, but then when you pull away and you don't see anything you want to change, like how Belinda says it, like when you're kind of painting and like you pull your head back and there's no more changes need to be done, it's all because of like
No more adjustments.
yeah, like here I am at 1600%, but it's okay. It is worth it. All right, shoes are looking good. I'm not too worried about these little hairs on the seamless. Okay. All right, so I would say the retouching is looking, skin retouching is looking good. Couple things on the to-do list is dodge and burn. Dodge and burn is basically shaping light. The burn layer will darken areas and the dodge area will brighten areas. So here I am with a soft brush tool. If you guys have any specific questions, do let me know in chat and my team will inform me because I'm in Photoshop right now. All right, so with shaping light, basically I want to accentuate features, right? If they have, in this case for Miles, for his like facial hair, if it's looking a little gray out, I want to darken that a bit. If their eyebrows are looking a little grayed out, I want to darken that a little bit too. If they have nice cheekbones, I want to brighten that a little bit to kind of accentuate their features, basically adding more depth into this photo that I think will make the overall final image a lot more beautiful. All right, so burn is probably one of the easier ways to start. This again is the darkening layer, right? I basically have this curve layer over here. Let me just make sure everything's on screen for you guys. Oops. All right, so it's basically a blank curve layer set on multiply, opacity as 100. I'm gonna open my brush, click into this mask over here. White brush, white is reveal, black is hide. I have my flow at 3% right now, but my opacity at 100. So what that means is that every time I brush, it will apply 3% only. So if I brush over it twice, that's 6%, right? Times 2. So this allows me to gradually kind of darken shadows, right? You can't really see much just yet, but I'll show you before and after. Basically just darkening areas that look kind of gray. If you remember when we were looking at the raw photos, some of the shadows were looking kind of grayed out. A lot of that can come to lighting during the set, or just like the Canon camera processing it that way, or Capture One processing it that way. Regardless, if it's not what you want, Photoshop's here to help you. Okay. So what I'm doing right now is just basically brushing over some areas to create some depth. Again, my goal as a retoucher is to make sure when you look at this photo, your eyes land on exactly where I want you as a viewer to have your eyes on. So I want you guys to look at his face. So dodging can be a little tricky too. What I've learned from my time is that you just generally want to dodge areas that are already bright. All right. Okay, I'm going to darken the brows just a bit. When I was first starting this studio photography, I was working with a lot of models for these kind of like beauty photo shoots. So there's some like tips that I've learned when it comes down to doing like retouching to make the subject look beautiful. Such, for example, as are brightening this highlight on their eyelids a little bit, bringing out the nose tip, and also the lips. People always usually forget about this part. All right, just gonna darken
Attention
over
to
here.
detail, man.
All right, let's see a quick before and after. So, oops. Let me put the dodge and burn layer on their own layer. Okay, before dodge and burn, after. Right, so I'm basically just shaping the light. Areas that were too bright, I've darkened them. Areas that weren't bright enough, I brightened them even more. So now looking at this, I can confidently say that when I look at this, the first thing I look at is his face. Everything else just happens to be more of a narrative behind it. So I think this dodge and burning is good enough. All right, so moving on. This part is unacceptable. It just looks lazy if I were to like, hey team, it's done. So
You would never hear the end of it from me.
yes. So I am going to now extend the seamless beyond these balloons. So my approach to this is gonna be to pen tool out the segment I don't want. There's a lot of ways we can go about this, but this one is what comes off top. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and make a selection. What am I gonna do here? Okay, there's a couple ways to go about this. First solution would be, let's see what content aware does. So with this selection, I am going to right click, I'm gonna hit fill, content aware. I'm basically telling Photoshop like, hey, like, oh, it's not doing anything. Basically saying like, hey, anything in this space, I want you to fill it up with your best guess on what I'm trying to clear. And since the majority of the selection is this green seamless, I'm hoping Photoshop will understand that. Nope, it didn't. All right, another way, we have this selection over here, right? We have this little cutout side, right? I'm gonna go ahead and select this lock layer, this little button on top of this layer, basically saying that anything I apply on this will only apply on this selection. So with that being said, I'll grab the stamp tool. I'm just gonna go ahead and select this round side and just brush in. And since it's only applying to that layer, once I enter down here, it should be seamless. All right, there's funky little artifact over here that's coming from this guy. So I'm just gonna grab the eraser tool. Actually, we're gonna be non-destructive. I'm gonna get a mask. I'm gonna create a mask, layer mask on this. White is to reveal, black is to hide. So I'm gonna switch it over to the black brush and just with a soft one, just kind of, not 3%, maybe 70% flow. And just kind of even it out. And there you go. Oh, I guess it's kind of noticeable. You know what? For tutorial purposes, we're gonna keep going because I could easily spend a lot more time than I need to on this. Yep. All right, so moving on to this bottom part, just real quick. With that selection, select out of bounds. Laser beams won't work. All right, let's get a nice cut of that balloon. I'm gonna close this selection now. Boom, boom. Make selection. Okay, duplicate it from this stamped layer. Same thing. I'm gonna go ahead and lock this layer, and I'm gonna grab our stamp tool and maybe sample something a little closer this time. Here. Nope. Here. The tricky thing about seamless is that there are a lot of shadows that affect basically the colors. So you have to be really mindful about where you're sampling in the image to make sure that it makes sense in that corner too. There we go.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and blend this just a little bit. Okay. Yeah.
Under the blend.
Huh?
Is it what is you see
Oh.
that black thing at the butt?
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Ooh, that's gonna
you
be
missed
tricky.
the spot.
Is what you guys are here for.
Put someone's
Alright.
You
face there.
missed the spot.
Someone's
I want to see
face.
someone's face.
All right.
It's gonna
Thank
be
you
tricky.
guys. Thank you guys. Yes, this is gonna be a tricky spot. Thanks for noticing that, Don, because there's the shadow right here, right? So I'm gonna duplicate this. I'm gonna go ahead and lock this layer. So if the shadows kind of, it looks like it's gonna end around over here, right? This is what I'm kind of thinking. So I think over here might be a good representation. I'm gonna keep sampling that area.
Nice.
And maybe, so it's starting to get a little dark here. I'm gonna grab a little closer into the shadow down here.
What background?
I know, what? Was there something back there? I don't know. Not anymore. Okay. Boom. If we wanted to go really wild with this, do we have? No, we don't have enough time. Okay, so that's one way on how I retouch photos, right? So just to recap that real quick. First step was frequency separation, right? Frequency separation is this action. You could find downloadable actions for free available online. Just Google it. Frequency separation allows you to edit the colors separate from the textures. This just allows you to have more control over your retouching. So some frequency separation, we basically just balanced out his skin tone. The next step we did was dodge and burn. Dodge and burning is basically shaping light. I have the burn layer is to darken areas and the dodge layer is to brighten areas, and with a soft brush I'm just brushing in that mask at a 3% flow. So here is the before the dodge and burn, and here is the after, just to accentuate features. And the last step that we did was just take out this undesired cut of the background behind the seamless, and we did that by basically using the pen tool and stamp tooling over that area. Excuse me. All right, so gonna go ahead and save this. No image compression.
I mean, you're not done yet though, right? You just started on this, or are you done?
No, I think I'm it's not, I wouldn't say done, but it's done for the tutorial purposes.
For sure, definitely.
Yeah, because the only thing I'd kind of play around more with would be like this corner.
We don't have to do that right now.
Yeah, the shadowing
I'm
is just a little
just
funky.
Emphasizing like it's not just a quick like, all right, I'm done now,
Yeah,
and then you go back on it.
My normal flow usually is it'll kind of like it would be like an evening where I just dedicate like maybe like 4 hours. You just sit down and
some edibles.
Yeah. Get into your own world. Yeah. I can't work with edibles all the time because I feel like I start second guessing my decisions.
You gotta just get into the flow of it when you're that high.
Yeah. I am a little worried about my Photoshop right now because you guys can't see it below, but Photoshop sometimes.
Is it not saving?
It is. This bar down here sometimes just moves at a pace where it'll freeze at 99%, and if it freezes, I basically lost my work and I'll just have to restart it. But
did
in this
you
case,
clear off space from your laptop?
I did. I think. I think.
And it's still doing that?
Yeah, it basically started happening ever since Photoshop 2020 came out, and I'm working off of my SSD. And there's just already some forum sites with people kind of complaining that, hey, like, what's going on over here because it's not working right.
Oh.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. What are you?
So here is the after. We could do side by
Let's do
side.
side by side.
Okay. Where
Also,
is-
do we have a time for the quick little poster mock-up? I
Sure.
came out with a little lineup.
Okay.
Well, I came out with 3 little lineups. I couldn't decide, but I think I'm just going to be the middle one that I came out with.
Okay.
Sonder, Now, Nao, 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 and Jael,
Holy shit.
Jael.
Let's do this.
I think those 3 would be dope. Like that would be a dope show actually.
Okay.
Because like Sonder would start you off like hella soulful,
Mhm.
and Now or Nao, like she has like soulful stuff too, but she has like some upbeat tracks and like some like night drive stuff kind of vibes too, like Drive and Disconnect. That one
Okay.
was pretty dope.
Okay.
And then Jael, like right after, like he would just start the party off. Like he can do chill, but he can also do upbeat. So I don't know. That's my thinking behind that.
Okay. Okay. So real quick, before and after. Before is on the left side.
That's a huge
After on the right
difference,
side. Yeah.
for sure.
It's just deeper in colors basically and less distracting elements. All right. So we're gonna go into Photoshop. All right. I'm gonna need you to say those again, Belinda. You said Jot.
Sonder, Sonder.
You said Jael. Sorry,
I said Sonder first, and then Nao, and then Jael.
Sonder.
Nao.
It was N.A.O, right?
No, I think it's just
It's N.A.O.
Yeah, it's just NAO.
It's just
yeah.
Okay, and Jael. Okay. Okay. So a lot. I thank Zach from Space 2950 a lot for allowing me to dive really heavily into a cyberpunk aesthetic that I was really gravitating towards at that time. And luckily, like our aesthetics just happened to be hand to hand. Was a little unfortunate that he was kind of like, hey, I kind of want to move away from the cyberpunk aesthetic. I'm like, dude, like, I don't want to work with you then. Just kidding. I always had an itch because as soon as I felt like I started like really kind of like exploring this aesthetic, like I didn't have a reason to. But now with Nüfly here, I can reopen this love of mine. And we're going to go ahead and make this one a cyberpunk aesthetic. I just really love neon lights, whether it be like a Terrell installation or like Hong Kong lights. I just really love space and light. All right, so my method, as VJ says, be resourceful. One of the things I do when I first start is go on Unsplash. Unsplash was introduced to me by Jared, actually.
I love this site.
Yeah, it is a royalty-free website that allows you to download images and use for commercial purposes for your own reasons. So for mine, I'll see like, cyberpunk. Why not, right? I always try to look for a starting point, right? A starting point is something that breathes a lot. Let me see. Saunders and Ja. Oh, now this is like a gritty kind of like R&B show.
With some energy. At the end, but it's like more chill, and then it builds up to the.
Right. I was mentioning this to Don a couple days ago, but why I connect a lot with the cyberpunk aesthetic too is that this just happens to fall into a grid system a lot too. So it's really parallel with a lot of like the approaches I do for design. You know what? I don't have a lot of time, so I'm just gonna stack stuff, guys. Okay. Do not want the US flag right now. This one looks pretty dope. Maybe like I'll just find 3 images to play with first. Okay, this one looks really cool too. One more. I used one of these for Jared's cover arts.
That's kind of cool.
This one?
Fang one. I don't know. Yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Okay, here we are in Photoshop. All right. So my method, guys, came from a lot from the signature days when I was designing on GameSpot. It's basically image blending. But what I didn't have back then was Unsplash. And the great thing about this site is that these are high resolution images. So my kind of strategy at this point, I always like to convert my layers into smart objects. The thing with Photoshop is that you're always working with pixels. So when you shrink images, it actually loses that information. But if you later down the line want to increase the size, you're kind of shit out of luck because it was lost. So by converting this layer into a smart object, you're basically telling Photoshop like, hey, retain this image as it is, but I'm just gonna now use this layer as like a flexible kind of window, allowing you to resize according to how you want it to go. So I just want some, maybe some subtle ambient. I'm gonna say somewhere not too intense yet. This looks pretty cool. Okay, let's keep it here. All right, let's open up our other layers. I'm very excited to showcase to you guys and low-key upsell VJ's Flexure pack. Because I am still using it to this day.
Shout out to VJ.
Big shout out to VJ. All right. Okay, one at a time. So go ahead and convert this new layer to a smart object. This might be a little challenging because the colors behind it were just very like red and kind of like cyan. This one I see an introduction of orange and blue. So let's see what we could do with this. My quick go-to is usually lighten. Lighten basically hides odd dark objects in the background but keeps lighter objects in front. So let's see what we could do with this. Maybe, just maybe like a subtle kind of sparks. I'm just gonna lower the opacity a bit. And sometimes it's like this. I'll have like this layer like at 30%, but I'm not done with you yet. So I'll duplicate it and maybe find yeah, for real. Stay there. Yeah. And let's just find a cute spot. So it's starting to look like water speckles, right? Maybe that's something we could continue playing with.
Start collaging.
Yeah, my method is basically just moving things around, toggling the blend mode and also its opacity, but also kind of like just make it look like it's meant to be there.
Yeah.
And for that part, it's really subjective. So what I'm trying to do right now, at least, is kind of build around. I know for a fact that the artists are going to be like the focal point of this flyer design, right? That's the whole purpose of a flyer design. I've been seeing some flyer designs where like I don't know where to look for when like who's the headliner,
Oh, that's sick right there. Wait, go back. What did you just do? That looks kind of cool.
I just basically put the image on top. No blend modes yet.
That's pretty sick. I don't know.
Yeah. Here, let's keep playing with this. Let me center this for you guys.
Oh, that's cool too. Man, I don't know. A lot of good options here.
Yeah. So this is kind of the fun part, right? You're just like, this looks somehow very trippy, but I don't like that blue, right? So
oh, you don't like it? I kind of like that blue, midnight blue kind of color.
It's a little too, it looks murky. Like there's just too much colors going on. That's the kind of tricky thing when you're working with like these kind of like neon lit scenes. I'm gonna go ahead and try to kill this blue saturation. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and try to blend it away. So with the masking tool, I'm just basically hiding certain areas, and you know, it doesn't have to look exactly like something, but I think that's one of the cool things if like your mind starts like making interpretations of what it is itself, right? When you're looking at this now, like before it was just this image, and now kind of like blending away some images, you're kind of like, all right, like what is going on over here? But I do still get that kind of nighttime feel. I don't want that red to be too dominating. Actually, it looks gonna get up here. Okay, for time's sake, let's keep going. So these are our headliners.
Yes.
Sonder. Now. This text is obviously way too dark. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Tracking is a little intense. I'm gonna bring it in a little closer. Okay. So if
I
we're
don't know if
ready,
that's the right color though.
I'm right now just trying to make it glow. Okay, if it's not the right color, let's explore a little bit. We got like cyan blends a little too much, pink a little clashes a little. I like this kind of orange red. I'm gonna go with it.
Can we like adjust the kerning then?
Huh? Whose tutorial is this, Belinda?
Yeah, let Dan
Whose
make
tutorial
it.
is this?
All right. I'm not gonna say
do
nothing.
edits on the
Sorry,
back
I'm gonna
section.
mute myself in the corner now. I'm done talking.
It's totally
Yeah,
fine.
all right.
For our friends, by the way, this is our normal kind of working style, right? Like one of us kind of leads, and then all of us chimes in. But when you do this long enough, you know, it starts becoming just like a group project, and I really appreciate that. This team is really patient as well with me, because I am very indecisive. All right. So what I did there, I basically want the glow to be a little more intense. So with this layer, I put the fill at 80. And then I duplicate a layer on top just to kind of like double the intensity. And you know what, this is looking pretty cool. It's just not clear yet that it's a show. But you know what? Let's just keep working on it. All right.
Text venue, maybe.
Yeah,
Texture.
a little bit of texture time. So I have this in my Photoshop folder, and I have all these beautiful textures to play with. But I'm gonna go with VJ's because we are here to support the homies, and I also use his textures a lot still.
Product placement.
For real. This Polaroid is really dope. I don't know if I accidentally desaturated this image because it was not supposed to be black and white, but that's okay. All right, convert this to a smart object again. Let's go ahead and rotate it. I'm just gonna change the blend mode to screen. Gonna blow this up a little bit. Gonna lower the opacity a little bit. And
Can we put the location in like Bali?
sure.
Let's see what's a good date. Maybe
May 31st.
May 31st. Why May 31st?
My birthday.
Oh, is that your birthday? Oh shit, my bad. I
How
forgot.
do you know that, Dawn?
I just looked it up.
Oh, so quick.
All right, sure.
Let's just put it today.
I'm just gonna do it. At
Yeah, put the
21.
date. Put the day down
Okay.
in Bali.
Today is what? Saturday. I'm gonna say August 29th. All right, give me a venue name, guys.
10:15.
10:15.
No, that's not in
10:15
Bali.
Bali.
What?
Doesn't matter.
Bali some.
What?
Temple.
Maybe put Nüfly on there.
Fuck that.
Temple.
Nüfly headquarters.
Bali, Indonesia, man. Indonesia.
Bali.
Bali. You
We're running out of time,
know
guys.
where Bali is?
I don't know. If you guys want to tell me right now, correct me. If not, forever hold your peace.
Indonesia.
Okay.
He's supposed to say arasa.
I was about to say that.
What?
In
What'd you say? What'd you say?
araso, that's like okay in Korean. Like I understand. Indonesia. Did I spell it right?
Yes.
Yeah, you
Yes.
spelled it right.
Okay. All right. I'm not gonna spend more time on this, but
For venue,
top-
put life aquatic.
Yeah, can we do that?
aquatic.
That's just
I
the
love
venue.
that little addition right there, Kaz. Great
Okay.
little plug.
So, contrast is very important. What I mean by that is either text size or text weight. You should always change that to help communicate like more important information. So the date is definitely very important. So I want it to be bigger than everything else. Maybe I could go ahead and put this on a separate line. Boom. Okay, it's on a separate line.
I like that.
I'm gonna go ahead and shrink this.
We should make that an actual venue.
Life Aquatic.
Yeah. I should, yeah. This is a vibe, Dan.
It's a big void. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but alright, so oops. What I would do on this still is it's obviously too flat right now, so I would make a curve layer, just kind of like darken it, but bring up the highlights a little bit, just to make it pop. I don't know. Let me throw our logo on there real quick, cause why not?
On the bottom or on
On the top.
the
I
top?
just want to make it like Nüfly presents,
Kind
you
of
know, like
fill it up.
as if we're as
Yeah.
if this was our show.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So that's black color overlay because this definitely needs to be white.
I feel like I would center all the acts.
I would too, but that's gonna be for another
gonna-
time.
How long is that gonna take for you to center?
Presents. Okay, Belinda.
There's a lot of deliberation.
Whose tutorial is this?
Jesus.
It's okay. All right, let's do it.
I just want you to push out your best work.
I
That's
can't
it.
do that in 5 minutes, dude. This is like 10 minutes.
Yeah, the best work you can do in 10 minutes.
All right. Okay, you wanted everything centered. I kind of like that, but let's go ahead and do it anyways. Centered. Ooh. Offset. Centered.
Flipped offset.
Okay. Okay. This is it. I'm gonna leave it at this.
It's a work in progress.
Okay, so this is an example of how I design
This
like a
is-
flyer.
yeah, you need a few more minutes and then it would be
Yeah, a lot more.
kind of aligned.
Yeah, just
Like that shit is
playing
definitely
around.
not center.
It's not centered, but it's okay.
And the presents is like way too close to the logo right now.
It's okay.
But I'll stop giving notes.
My last touch, ladies and gentlemen, that I always love doing is filter, noise, add noise. And then maybe like at 4. Noise just basically blends everything together. It works really well when you have like some glowing assets. It just makes everything kind of like blend together very well. So yeah, that would be an example of how I design.
Dope. Thank you.
Thanks
Sick.
guys. Thanks guys.
Bravo.
Okay.
Thanks for narrating.
No problem.
Should ask all our guests to make a flyer when they come on.
Wow, that's a really big challenge, man.
That'd be tight.
That would be tight.
We have a bunch of
Alright.
flyers.
Even the non-graphic designers.
We just have hella flyers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, what are we doing next, guys? We are
Into our third hour now.
third hour
where
past projects
We're
keynotes.
gonna go through your 77 slides, 76, 67. I don't know how many.
This massive slide.
Sick.
slides you got.
Okay,
Ooh, okay. Someone went off.
Let's do this. Not even.
Someone went
not
off.
even. I'm gonna go switch our screen
No.
back to. Hold up.
How many
I'm-
slides do you have total right
I'm
now?
changing our screen for our viewers.
Oh yeah, please change it up.
Okay, I am now going to hit play. All right. Here we are. God. We're doing this. All right. Okay.
Change your
so-
background. Oh, okay. There we go.
Yeah, it'll be full screen in a bit. I think Twitch is just catching up. Okay.
Can't do the side by side thing.
I can't because I'm the one sharing. You get what I'm saying?
Oh.
Normally it would be like the
Yeah.
other way around.
Do you need to see us?
I guess not. Okay.
Let's just hide us.
Okay. All right. I need a.
Kaz like disappeared.
I probably had to do a bathroom run.
I actually need to pee too, but I'll wait.
Okay, let's do this, guys.
But you hit us. You hit us. Okay.
Or how about I'll just put.
Just move the whole thing over.
I'll just put myself on.
Or yeah, just put yourself on.
Okay.
That works too.
Twitch, hang tight. Hang tight for us 1 second. Okay, transition. Okay, I am here. All right. So we are going to talk today about my past projects. You're going to see a lot of early work. I hope what you guys can see is at least a growth in my work. I hope this inspires anyone. If you're looking at this, you feel like your work is shit compared to everyone. Everyone starts at somewhere.
Let's go.
All right.
How did you make yourself a circle, dude?
It's just a blend. I can show you guys later on OBS.
What's the? This is
It's
my
pretty
first
cute,
time
huh?
ever seeing this.
It's pretty cute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your little icon.
Yeah. All right. So, in case anyone was ever wondering how Dakfu came to be, it is basically my name, Daniel Kit Fung. Just kind of broken up a little bit. My Chinese name, Feng Junki, is over there too. And let's go. Daniel for Nüfly. Shit. All right, here we are. Early designs, 2005 from 2006. This was around time I was like 15. And as I was telling you guys, during the games, like the forum site days and the other anime forum sites that I was on, before Behance was popping, it was DeviantArt. So I was lucky to find all my old shit on DeviantArt still. A lot of it was deleted.
Damn.
A lot of it was deleted, by the way, due to copyright reasons, but
Oh shit.
it is what it is. Yeah. Okay, this is one of the earliest works I could find. This is June 2005.
This is like Final Fantasy VII
Yeah.
inspired.
Yeah. I don't really know how to explain this that much. I knew for a fact that at this time
Ice.
it was very trendy to use these Cinema 4D renders that people were just casually uploading. And on top of that, a lot of the effects that I were doing were pre-downloaded brushes. I think I see some lens flares happening. There's just a mixture of like blend modes. I think I had filter render clouds and I duplicated that layer and I moved the blend mode to lighten. That's why you'll see some of the speckles kind of shine through. I was a kid playing video games a lot, so I don't know, like epic sounding shit, you know, catastrophe. I don't know. Contra Distinction was my handle at that time. That was from Super Green X track. As you can tell, a lot of my work is dictated by the music I'm currently listening to at that time. Yeah, let's go on. I don't want to look at this more. All right, Cloud Essence. This was actually one of the earliest submissions I found for a graphic design contest. For what? I don't remember. I'm talking about the one on the left, but this just shows you kind of an example of like the renders or the cutouts that these forum sites were kind of providing at that time. This one just looked really cool. As you can see behind the subject, there is actually some more Cinema 4D renders going on. On the right side,
What character is that?
I don't know, Kaz. I don't
Looks
know.
like a baby Sephiroth, but or like
Yeah, I don't know. Some
with
kind
with
of
elf ears.
some kind of dot hack. I don't know. On the right side, this came. I specifically remember. I was up
The fuck
late.
is that? That's
I don't
just like
know,
some
a
like
dolphin?
dolphin unicorn with an umbrella
Yeah.
on
The
its
ink
neck,
monster.
like
Yeah.
nose. What?
So let me explain this a little bit. I was playing RuneScape into the AMs a lot, and I remember this day I pulled an all-nighter because one of the tutorials I came across when I was taking a break from RuneScape was talking about the pen tool, and at that time I didn't know or understand the pen tool. So what you see over here is a lot of me kind of playing with the pen tool and kind of understanding like how you can make shapes, how you can, you know, use like basically it's just me playing with the pen tool. A lot of these early designs, there was no reason for me to create these, right? Catch me if you can. I don't know what that means. Simplicity checked, weirdness checked, pen hoard check. I don't know what that means. I don't know, but at that time, you know, you create things just to create things, and I think that's a beautiful part about the early stages about any designer's career.
Were you a pen whore? Like what?
I was pen tooling a lot, so I was like, oh, I'm like such a whore for the pen tool. I don't know. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know. Let's move on. All right, so on the left side.
Oh my god, Edison Chen,
Yeah,
man, that is a throwback.
Yes. Okay. So on the left side is Utada Hikaru. I don't know why again I did this, but again, what I hope you guys can pay attention to is like I'm still playing with the pen tool a lot. As you can see, I'm playing with gradients a lot too. What it is meant to be, I don't know. I think a lot of the aesthetics that I kind of was gravitating around at that time was from racing games. There's just a lot of clean vector art, a lot of like kind of like digital art. I don't know. On the right side were some of the signature banners that I was creating during that time. As you can see, the N for naked, GlowX. I don't know why. But yeah, these are some of the banners that I created during the time on GameSpot. The one with Edison Chen, I found this kind of what I called a washed out tutorial style on these forum sites, and I just thought it was super dope. That's that. The one in the bottom, is DJ Q-Jack from this sister game of DDR called Beat Mania. He was one of the DJs or the NPCs at that time, and growing up, you know, being around DDR, around Beat Mania, I always thought it'd be the coolest thing in the future to DJ, and I could say I tried it, and I could say it's not for me. All right. Cover art designs. We are literally fast forwarding like almost a decade because as you can tell, I went to high school, changed majors, did a career, failed at that career. But at that time I was living with Jared, and this guy was just pushing out hella fucking music. So here's everything I could find from like the very first cover art we decided to do together. All these photos were taken on iPhone. As you can see, we were both really into this tropical plant aesthetic. I was also really into magazine layouts at this time. I started like exploring like Her magazine, Hypebeast magazine. A lot of these had like these really kind of blocky text layouts, and how I was telling like our Nüfly team that a lot of these texts in Japanese magazines, English text is meant to be decorative. You know, like it's so small. It's like for anyone, like you get to like squint to read it, and for Designer 101, like you're not doing it justice if your reader is having a difficult time reading. But for Japan, they were just like, it's just supposed to look nice. It's supposed to give you a feel, right? So you could see that a lot in the Cycad and the Monstera cover arts that I was doing with Jared. Shout out to Jared too. He was super okay with just letting me kind of like do whatever I want with the cover arts. So through his work, it kind of gave me a reason to continue designing and continue kind of like exploring what kind of style I even want to do. Satori over here, which is that cherry blossom looking image, is actually a shot from Blizzard, from Overwatch. Blizzard, please don't sue me.
That's a screenshot?
It was this wallpaper I basically downloaded. Yeah. And then everything else, like the Summer Love EP was when we were in LA at that time. We were in the arts district. And sunset in LA is just beautiful, man. The colors, gradients all over the place. It's really warm out there. There's a lot of palm trees. Everything is just like a photo opportunity. But I want to point out specifically between Monstera and Summer Love. In between that was when I picked up my Sony a6000, because as you can see for Anthurium, don't be scared, hold on. These were all shot on iPhone, and like, I don't know, it just wasn't enough for me. So yeah, continuing on, again, more work from Jared. This is a lot of like my earlier work was basically me working directly with Jared. EPs, singles, remixes, albums, you know, concepts, you know, we kind of like went through the entire spectrum together. And I think what's dope is that it allowed me to really, again, kind of like explore what I was trying to do and my understandings at the time. Right. Yeah.
Like condition yourself.
Yeah. And then, going into 2090.
This is after being far removed, right? This is like when you're like in your accounting. You're getting back into graphic design.
Yeah. So I left PwC like mid 2017. So as you could see here, like all I, like that second row, second column,
row.
That was when I started like freelancing full time. Right. Yeah, by my side. And then so 2090 over there, I have a whole section dedicated to 2090 in this slide. But 2090 was a cover art that I showed to Belinda that she was like, oh, okay. Like, she was like, okay, like I see where you're going, you know? So 2090, the EP has some sentimental value for the dynamics between Belinda and I. So here are some of my favorites. This Rhythm and Hue EP. I think Jared sent me this reference photo from Unsplash. It was basically flowers with a backdrop. So my idea was to go into SF State, buy this construction paper that was blue, and I drove all the way to Golden Gate Park. I put it behind some really dope flowers, and I took some photos of it. This rose down here is actually, so the light pink rose was actually another image that I just composited together. Wow. Yeah, you see the sparkles. I did some brushing on top just to up the intensity and the glow. And again, you see the elements of the decorative text happening up there. I don't know what I put. Oh, my strategy at that time to make it kind of like have context was to just Wikipedia a word that was prominent in that EP or album. So in this case, it was rhythm. So I just Wikipedia'd rhythm, copy and pasted like the first paragraph there and slapped it in there, and aesthetic.
Copy editors.
Yeah. Yeah. Bad Things was a really fun one. I made this like in 10 minutes actually. It was when our friend Swivy came over to our house, and he was collaborating with Jared downstairs, and Jared was just like, hey, you know, like, can you whip up a cover art real quick? At that time, I was revisiting Ridge Racer music. Shout out to Naked Glow. But there was a specific photo that I saw that I was like, yo, like this song just sounds like something it'd be like on a racing track, you know? So it only made sense to composite this. The neon effects that you're seeing on the bottom right was actually this bokeh'd out version of this neon sign that I found from Unsplashed. But yeah,
shout out to Bokeh.
Shout out to Bokeh, man. All in all, it was like a really fun. I just really liked how it came together. It was just like kind of on the fly, you know? All right, so the next one, I just want to preface, this next cover art was never released. It was with an idea that I had with another producer called Bazaar. He kind of approached me and was like, hey, you know, like I really like this like neon aesthetic that you're going with right now. Can you design a cover art for me? We went back and forth with a lot of iterations. It just didn't work out. The EP, I think, just ended up being released as singles, but this was something that I made. This was also my first attempt designing something in Illustrator. These geometric shapes were all created by me in Illustrator. As you can see, there's like prior versions, prior iterations I had sent him. We went through like 8 iterations. But
He never put this out though.
the EP was never released. I think he decided to just release the tracks individually as singles. Yeah, but I always, just looking back at this, I was like, yo, this looks really moody. It's a void, big void.
Yeah.
Yeah.
White.
Just change the artist name and give it to somebody else.
Repurpose it. It's
Yeah.
alright. It's okay. I like to keep like.
Honestly, you can reuse this. I mean, it's not like it was hella tailored to his personality completely.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Maybe. I don't know.
I feel like it's abstract enough that you can repurpose this for sure.
Yeah.
If he's not going to use it, I mean, he should honestly use this. I don't understand why he didn't.
I don't know.
Probably more on the release. Like
yeah.
how he wants to release.
Yeah. Yeah. But I was just really happy with the results regardless, so I wanted to include this in here. Let's move on. The next one.
Their loss.
This was back in December 2018. Also that month, this DJ called John Antonio reached out to me, asking me to design a cover art for his mixes, and he was actually the first client that requested a B-side. So I thought this was a really fun challenge. I don't remember the mood board in particular off top, but this was a very wholesome mix. It just made sense. I found this photo of this young kid on Unsplashed and kind of like threw some gradient maps on top of it. There's actually another kid next to the giant leaf, wearing like red boots and a blue rain jacket. But yeah, this was really meant to be like a wholesome kind of mix. I thought it was really fun to kind of apply this aesthetic. I think a lot of it was kind of popping around for like cover arts around this time. This was 2018. SoundCloud was a time where like future funk, vaporwave started popping off. So there's a lot of these influences from these old Japanese album covers. And you're gonna see like some of the elements are kind of like having like a band kind of cross one side to almost look like a vinyl sleeve. But yeah, I was really proud with this. A lot of the images were just from Google ripping it. Yeah.
What iteration number was this?
This was iteration 2. Out of respect,
let's talk about the first one.
Out of respect for the artist, I won't show it, but there's actually
we can at least talk about it.
Yeah, there's a different subject in the middle, but then
it was another woman.
Yeah, it was a woman
like
rather than a child. Yeah, and then basically John seen it and he was like, hey, can we change it? Basically it just
say it, man.
Well, like nah, I'm gonna respect John. Someone.
What, we can't talk about it? It's not like you're.
It's not a fun topic to talk about. But basically,
now people are gonna be like, what the fuck?
it was an attractive girl in the middle, and he was like, it doesn't really match the vibe. So we explored some other options, and eventually
someone would have been mad.
Yeah, we eventually landed on
That's
this
all
youthful
we're gonna
child.
say.
Yeah, and I think it made it even better. Like if this mix is titled, lack of better words. And I have to respect that. As a designer, you have to be flexible and work around your clients'
their branding
ask.
too.
Yeah.
Or whatever they feel like.
They got to be careful about it.
Yeah.
They got to operate a certain way, especially for the homegirl.
Right. But yeah, I was really proud of this one. It came out really good. Textures are out there. Colors look really great. Next one was from 7-6. This one, he had
this one was
mix.
fire.
This was probably like one of my favorite ones because he
also
really...
when you were like doing the 2090 stuff, that's like what got me in. I was like, oh shit, let's like that really attracted me. I was like, this is the exact style that I love.
Yeah, this kind of like glitch cyberpunk art style,
but like still hella clean aesthetic.
Yeah, with design,
at the same time.
there's some rules happening, right? My approach to this, he wanted something really surreal. So my strategy for at least the front facing of the cover art would be that you can look at this from any 90-degree angle and it will still make sense. So say for example, you tilt this to the right, you will now be able to read like Daydreaming, the other fine text, which was a Wikipedia of daydreaming. But if you turn it upside
Definitely
down,
like a mind fuck.
yeah, if you turn it up fully upside down, then the houses make sense, you know, that you're seeing on top. It's an actual upside down image of these clouds that I found on Unsplashed. And then
Reminds me of Inception a little bit.
yeah, and then to the left side, if you flip it that way, you know, you just got this beautiful border showing the color palette as well. And then on the right, he also wanted a side B. Shout out to John Antonio for asking me to do that, because I was able to showcase an upsell, also a side B to 7.6, and I'm really happy that he decided to okay it, because we made a really dope back.
You guys also redid his logo too, right?
Yeah, yeah, me and Don. Yeah,
y'all rebranded him.
Forgot, it's not in here. All
I
right,
got to put that in, huh?
it's okay. All right. So flower designs. Again, special thank you to Zach from 2950 for allowing me to dive deep into this cyberpunk aesthetic that I personally really love and want to continue exploring. Here's on the left side was the first flyer that he asked me to do. I just did a glitch art. Space 2950. It just made sense. On the right side is probably one of my favorite pieces. He really allowed me to like do whatever I want, and I wanted to feel like nighttime fun. So what better way to show than, you know, a really aestheticed out arcade.
Yeah, I love these two pieces
Thanks.
a lot. Yeah,
Thanks.
and plus, like, I'm a huge fan of Abjo and Sahar Habibi.
Hey.
Pretty dope.
Yeah, big shots to Abjo, man. I really like his sounds.
Swan too, man. That's also like, if anyone's wondering, Nüfly is from a Swan track.
Oh,
like,
right.
That's where I got the name from, because Swan has a track called Nüfly that I was
Right,
listening to back in the day.
right.
And I still feel like that's probably, I'm gonna make a video with that as our theme song
Nice.
one day.
That'd be a fun project.
Yeah.
So this next one was for that Zacomo Jared Jackson show. Again, continuing this cyberpunk aesthetic. I took a lot of references also. At this time, I was just revisiting a lot of old Hong Kong films. I just got this sense of like, I wanted something like cinematic, epic, and kind of storytelling itself already. So I had this idea of kind of like juxtaposing like this image that has nothing to do with music, but just kind of sets a tone and scene. I found out later that this flyer has been circulating in some mood boards, so I'm very thankful for that. But hey, if you're listening, you can hire me and I'll make you something just like this, but for you. So take me off your mood board, please.
Take me off your mood board.
Someone's quoting Beej right now.
For real. The right side was again just like a side B. It was used basically as a second post for 2950.
It's so nice, man. It really looks like the back of a magazine.
Thank you. All right,
We're gonna have to do something like that.
I am so down. You have no idea. I am like really itching to revisit this like art
We
style.
need to start our magazine layouts again.
Yes. All right. Hi Julie. Thanks for joining us today. So next, all right, so that was design. Here we are going into photography. So I just mentioned before that during 2017, I was shooting a lot of these photos on my iPhone. Here I picked some photos that I started photographing on this Sony a6000, which is a mirrorless camera with a switchable lens that has a stupid crop sensor. But at that time, I didn't know what a crop sensor was, you know? And so I just started discovering full frame and then medium format, but that'll be a little bit for later. So a lot of these earlier shoots were, I think, just practice, right? Like it's more like I was just that guy that was carrying around a camera a lot. Jared and I went down to the selection show during 2017. I don't remember, selection experience. I think that was one Belinda shot
that
at.
was our first one. Yeah.
Yeah. But we stayed at an Airbnb and then we went to a cafe around and we were able to like, you know, find some spots. I'm like, oh, hey, just stand there real quick. Let me take a shot. In the middle, you see Red. Red at the time was working at Everlane still. I would just hit him up.
He was at the show too?
He wasn't at the show. This was an SF.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But we would periodically just hit up some friends and like, yo, let's go shoot. You know, I think that was one of the best ways for me to practice. And it should feel fun. You know, it shouldn't always feel like I need to get paid for something. There's always something to learn and get out of.
Yeah, Cass and I did a little photo shoot at SF MoMA with Jess one time.
Oh, right.
It's pretty good.
Nice.
It's a good little fun shoot.
I want to see
You gotta
that.
just practice, you know? Sharpen that knife.
Yes. My practice now is with the Mamiya. On the right side, our two friends. I used to go to this boutique a lot, pretty frequently, called Tailored Stitch. Made in USA clothes. Han really recommended it. They just had really, really beautiful clothes that were high quality. These two cashiers, Kenny and Emmanuel, were just always the homies. Like every time I come in, they're like, "What are you listening to, man?" And I'm like, "Oh, you should listen to this Korean song. Oh, you should listen to this." And they would just play it in like the store speakers, and they were just always down to chat. And they kind of hooked it up also, so with a little discount price. So I remember one day it was just like this random like afternoon. I was like, I'm gonna go around Valencia with my camera and just take some photos. And I was fortunate to run into them both. And I'm like, hey, you mind if I take a photo of you real quick? And yeah, something for the memories. This next one, again, just kind of going around town. Like I had a lot of spare time when I first started freelancing. No clients, you know, Jared could only produce so much. I made it a mission to myself to kind of like explore some kind of like shot styles. I think I saw a lot of these kind of like, I don't know, geometric kind of like shapes and photo styles going around that I just made it a mission for myself to go into Golden Gate Park one day and just take photos. This was a sunny day and the courts were actually really, really beat up. What you're seeing is Photoshop. A lot of Photoshop happening, just cleaning up the floor and just trying to make it look as natural as possible. But yeah, I think
So that's not real?
No, it is real, but then there's a lot more scratch marks, a lot more kind of, yeah, like it was just beat up, you know. So
You touched it up.
I touched it up. Because again, this is me just studying, you know, trying out styles and kind of like understanding, you know, my capabilities and also pushing my capabilities at that time. Speaking of capabilities, my cousin reached out to me to do some engagement shoots, which I never tried doing. So I was like, sure, why not? We went to the Museum of Ice Cream. And we basically took hella shots in there.
It's all photo op.
No, basically, dude. You basically pay just to take photos inside there. The experience is kind of like meh. I only have one photo. The rest of them are pretty cringe in my opinion, but I love them personally, and Queena, my cousin, loves them too. So
That's all.
that's all that matters, you know. But what my takeaway from this was that I suck at engagement shoots.
What is it about engagement shoots that you don't?
I think I'm not good with having people smile in front of the camera. Those kind of poses.
Like it seems too scripted, kind of, or like.
Yeah. It has to be
Seems
really
fake to me.
It
I
has
don't
to-
like capturing fake moments.
It's really easy to make it look fake. The biggest challenge is to make it look
Making it
natural.
look natural.
And I wasn't kind of like good at that.
Like
know?
directing them and stuff.
Yeah, you know, you have to really like. It's a lot of pressure too. You know, as an engagement photographer, like
Sometimes it's awkward. and it's
you
like-
have to. Yeah, you basically have to weave comfort and make it look like you just captured a magical moment. Shot after shot after shot. I was too like, you know, like, oh, you gotta be over there. Okay, let's try that. It was too like gun ho, you know, like, and I like kind of planning in advance. For this one, it was just a little challenging, and I just decided like, yeah, I'm not gonna do this going forward. Yeah.
Mhm.
This next one was a friend, Yulin. This was a fun story, actually. This was during the time I was at Brooklyn Circus. Me and my coworker at that time, JN, we went to this like art convention that happened in the Palace of Arts, where like Benny Gold was, you know, one of the panel talkers. we basically got hella high and went there and left really disappointed because it was more like a tech show, you know, like the type of questions we were hoping they'd answer were like, you know, like what are some of the challenges in the streetwear industry right now? How are you overcoming those? But it was more like what are your thoughts on like clothes right now? Oh, like how did you get to point A to point B? You know, it was very kind of like introductory kind of conversations. But me and her eventually left, and then JN was friends with Yulin, so we ran to Yulin and we all started just like mobbing afterwards into Chestnut Street. And then I remember JN was like, oh, I gotta use the bathroom real quick, right? And she like, we stopped by a restaurant and she went in, and then Yulin's like, oh, so what do you do? I'm like, oh, I'm a photographer at Brooklyn Circus. She's like, oh shoot, like I'm a model, you know? And I was like, we want to take some photos? And she's like, yeah, let's do it. And so I just basically posed her in front of this, the only light source because the sun was setting at that time. And basically did this impromptu photo shoot, and I thought it came out really well. Big shout out to Yulin. All right, so moving on, Ocean Beach.
Good stuff.
Yeah, this was a really fun one. I was looking a lot at these John Elliott lookbooks, and I just remember seeing like just beautiful images of their campaign at that time, which was called Watching Water. And I was like, yo, how the fuck do you get water to like sing like that, you know? Like how do you edit it to the point where it conveys a message or a feeling, you know? So I made it myself as a mission to go to Ocean Beach one day and just take photos of the water crashing waves in fog. Let me show you some before and afters. I don't know how all that color was hiding behind this. This is not a black and white image, by the way. It is literally a full colored image, but that's the color of the sky that day. But just toggling the hue sliders, the saturation sliders.
Also, like the highlights, you probably took down all
it killed the highlights. Yeah, and then the luminance and like all this color just kind of just like rushed out, and I was like, yo, this is fucking crazy. So I thought this was like a really kind of like defining moment for me, where I was like, okay, like as a photographer, you really have a lot of power in your hands to really edit a photo up to an extent where you feel like, you know, this is good, rather than like, oh, it's all right, you know. All right, so for the next one, this is Beatrice. She plays a pretty significant role in my early days as a freelancer. She was one of the main voices also with YK La Familia. She was an artist, but just her mentality, you know, like on how she approached things, she was very grounded. She was very spiritual. That, you know, like I almost kind of like saw her as like a celebrity at some point, you know, like all her work was just hella dope that she was putting out. And then I remember she like just moved to Philippines for a while and never came back. And then this was probably like 2016, 2017. And then in 2018, she like randomly came back and was like, yo, I got a solo exhibition at Visco. And then she like shared the flyer. I'm like, yo, I gotta go there, you know? And so I went over there and I just caught up with her. She worked really closely with the Brooklyn Circus also, just before my time. So we kind of connected on that. But yeah, this was shot in the Visco office. And this was just part of her artwork. She does all of these like hand illustrations. But big shout out to Bea. She's off the grid right now in the Philippines, and I just want to thank her for really kind of helping me with my direction as an artist and also an individual when I was first starting out with like this whole freelancing business.
That's super dope.
Yeah.
Super dope.
So this was a fun show. More kind of examples of these, just kind of like me being a camera person and not having any clear goal of, you know, why I'm bringing out the camera. It's just shooting just to shoot, you know. This was a Phoenix Hotel day.
Is this the same day that you dropped your camera?
Yes. Yes, this was the same day. Belinda was here also. Bizarro was playing. Two friends at Thunderstone were also playing. And yeah, it just shows, you know, that I got these really cool photos. personally that I really like, without having any like intention of like I'm hired to be the photographer for this event, you know. It was just me like really wanting to capture these people that made me go out there with my camera. And while enjoying their music, I happened to drop my camera too. And I think that's what started this kind of like turn on issue that eventually led me to buy the EOS R, the mirrorless camera for Canon. And
Yep.
yeah, so here's Gina. We were in LA at this time, and it just felt nice that she was comfortable, you know. Like you have some of the homies who are like, oh yeah, get a photo of me, you know. But you have the other homies who are like, don't ever fucking take a photo of me. Like I will fucking kill your camera and you. But
Shout out to Gina.
yeah, big shout out to Gina. These are some really fun photos that we were taking around. I think the one on the right was in the Glossier. They had this like installation, and it just looked like, you know, the light tunnels that you see like in Arizona. All right, so in addition to just normal everyday photography, product photography was very near and dear to my heart because again, I was here to push this message of conscious consumerism in the fashion industry. So here are some really early shots that I just took like in my house. This is with constant lights and also natural lights. I didn't understand why these images were so grainy, not realizing later that I was shooting at like 8,000 to 10,000 ISO to just compensate for the light that I was not receiving in my room. This was a jacket made by John Elliott. It was called the Doha jacket. It was made in Japan, and I just thought it was like a really beautiful piece. So just some early shots. Some more early shots. I eventually like bought another jacket from Grailed, like John Elliott. Like their jackets are like $300 usually, but you make your way to pay for things you care about.
God bless Kate.
Yeah.
Grilled.
Wait, so you own these right now?
Yeah.
Dang, where have these been?
If not more.
In the archive.
If not more, yeah.
Let me see it. It's in the back of your little coat rack right now. I need evidence.
Right now he's
It
only
says
doing
see
black.
receipts.
I can't see the
Receipts.
Huh? And then for the other jacket, I gave to
Okay.
What
Got
warrants
it.
like a spot on the rack behind you?
outerwear jacket, a shell jacket
Oh, on the rack.
on a shell. Yeah, as a shell, meaning like it's always outer piece. The ones on the inside are, I kind of arrange it like if it can rotate, you know, whether it be like an inside piece or like just a layered piece. Yeah. All right, this is a fun one because Linda's in the chat and she was my model for this photo shoot. I had this idea that I wanted to, you know, communicate this message of conscious consumerism through what I knew best, and that was visuals, right? So I created this mock campaign actually. It's not linkable from my website, but I didn't take off the page yet. So let's look at this together. So using the water shots that I took from Ocean Beach, it just made a lot of sense. I was kind of like jogging their campaign at this point because their campaign was called Watching Water. I titled this Future Spring, Spring Summer 17. So Linda was very nice to like be down to come over here. And I kind of like pitched to her this idea. I was like, yo, I got these two jackets. If you could wear something like neutral toned, I just want to take a few shots of this jacket on you and also have you kind of like interact with this jacket, right?
Is this your older or younger sister?
Younger.
Oh, this is your younger sister.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. A lot of my approach was kind of inspired from a lot of these kind of lookbooks that I was seeing from John Elliott at that time. And why I was really attracted to those lookbooks were because the shots always weren't just like a standard like front shot, back shot, side shot. The models are always like interacting with the clothes, and when they interact with it, like I could see how the clothes not just like moves and bends on the body, but also what features come with it too, right? So with that kind of idea, I applied it to some of how styling the clothes on Linda for this photo shoot. So just wearing it on the inside, you know, just kind of shows that like the shoulders are kind of like drop shoulders at this point, right? It's a kind of like oversized jacket. I'm really big into reading details about the clothes. What did I say over here? I put manufactured with the durability to stretch and breathe along with every body movement and finished with fabric soft on the skin. The body hemline is cropped shorter than arm's length for a tapered modern silhouette. That's something I would want to know if I'm buying a jacket. Trucker jacket in white denim with a 2% stretch, dark blue, brown, and green paint speckles, single flat pocket at chest, and welt pockets at front, and then 2 waistband tabs on the side. These bottom ones I just copied and pasted from John Elliott's website. I was a big fan. Yeah, so just continuing this idea of like showing motion and interaction with the clothes, you know, rather than just posing Linda like straight on to the side, show back shot. I wanted her to move and kind of interact with this clothes, because for me, like this curve over here on the bottom taper kind of communicates to me that this is it's kind of a higher jacket, you know, and I think that's really important for someone making a purchasing decision when this jacket's like $300. More aesthetic. So this next one was the Moab jacket. These are actual names for these jackets, which I think is really smart of John Elliott to do, because you start treating them like, in my opinion, kind of like art pieces. Yeah. So again, continuing that narrative of not just showing a jacket in its like flat form, but having the model interact with it. I told like this jacket had a second zipper in the bottom, and that purpose of the second zipper is for you to zip up, so when you sit down, your jacket doesn't ruffle around your waist. So I wanted to emphasize that, so I told Lynn, it's like, hey, like I'm gonna style it like this, I'm gonna zip it all the way higher, just to show that, to emphasize that it's two-way zip. And yeah, more interaction with the jacket. So you could kind of see, like, even from this with the jacket rolled up, I wanted to kind of communicate the texture, the fabric of the jacket, right? You could kind of see it crumpling up a lot more different than the normal like cotton fabric or a wool fabric, for example. So yeah, just more of these shots, and then yeah, there was that last shot. And then for lookbooks, you always gotta have some B-roll shots, right? Some aesthetic shots. And yeah, that was it. All right, let's go back into the keynote.
So you created this project just out of inspiration from what you saw through John Elliott,
right?
And you just wanted to do your take on it,
right? Mostly also because I was applying to a lot of these boutiques. I wanted to be able to demonstrate that I knew what I was doing, right? So I made this also just to kind of communicate, like, if I were to show people these photos individually, like they would the impact. Yeah, they would kind of come up with their own way of how it would be sequenced, right? But sure. I made a very particular layout that I wanted to communicate that if you were to launch this campaign, it has to follow this sequence. So this was one of the working papers I included on. I had a journal on my website at some point.
You have to be able to show proof of concept.
Right. The whole purpose of the journal, shout out to Han, by the way, this was his idea. You always want to show behind the scenes.
Is Han also the person that like recommended us to start live streaming?
Yes. So big shout out to Han. Han, if you're still in the chat, like, thank you for suggesting. Thank you for suggesting us to do these live streams.
I'm done interrupting now.
No, 2020.
Oh shit, we got 2 minutes. Shit. All right, let's just go real quick. More product photography. Just practice, right? So this one was fun because this was the first time I bought my strobe light. So remember that issue I had at first where I couldn't understand why there was so much grain inside my photos. I learned that by introducing not just worrying about ISO, aperture, and shutter speed, you can introduce another source, which is a strobe light. So I purchased a strobe light, and this was shot in my room. I had this whole narrative of like, oh, let's make some kind of scene. This whole kind of like set is available on my website, so I'm gonna just continue going forward a little bit. So you can kind of see like the differences in the photography here now that I have a strobe light. I could get things a lot more moodier. I could get things a lot more cleaner also because I can now shoot at ISO 100. These were some jackets that I bought from Golden Bear. Golden Bear is this outdoor jacket company based in San Francisco, manufactured in San Francisco. They have sample sales. They also worked with Brooklyn Circus a lot for their varsity jackets. They have a strong reputation in the city for just really, really, really high quality varsity jackets. And yeah, I picked these up for a discounted price because it was on sale. So I was like, yo, like this is beautiful. So I just did some practice shots with these, all shot at home. Just to show the progression also, I included a photo, a pretty recent photo that I shot for Eden. This was kind of like a demonstration of like how all my practices kind of came together, that I think allows me to work really comfortably with client work right now. This was...
That's cute.
Thank you. Yeah, this was shot. The biggest challenge for me for this was merchandising, kind of like putting things together to make sure there's like a shape going on, that there's harmony. Big shout out to Barry for instructing me on that. But yeah, just kind of looking at this from like where I first started, like it's just a nice reminder, you know, to always keep practicing and trying to, you know, push your limits, because one day you never know, like that small task, a client's gonna need that in order for you to deliver that result they're asking. All right. Now that we have a strobe light, here we go into studio photography. Yeah, I did want to shoot ISO 100 forever and ever.
Forever, ever.
This one was really fun. This was when I was working with my friend Nicole at this time. She was one of the photographers I first started with. I met her through Instagram, and we just started doing a lot of photo shoots together because we had the similar intentions of just working with more models, getting our name out. It just made sense. I also reached out to Julian, which is Bizarre's cousin, who was also a photographer. He at that time was attending Academy of Art, and he was like, dude, if you want to do photo shoots, let me know, because all this equipment that we have is available for rent for free. So for this photo shoot, we had 7 lights.
It's clean, man.
It's
This
clean,
is like,
yeah. It was a really good practice, and also made me...
You can definitely tell it looks great, yeah.
Yeah, it also taught me that you don't need 7 lights. Because like we had some light sources that were just shooting from like a really low strength, and I just started asking like, damn, do we really need
It's
these?
Overkill, man. You
It is.
Yeah.
And these are all
3
like,
or 4 and you're pretty Gucci.
yeah, these are all like pro photo lights that we were renting from the Academy of Arts too, so that was really fun. The stylist was through Nicole's friend.
Man, killed it, dude.
Yeah.
Look at those shoes. Look at how shiny they are. Shit.
These are all, so the trick,
color palette.
yeah, the strategy that stylists use, like they buy everything, but then they keep it in pristine condition. As you can see, I kind of forgot to Photoshop out the masking tape under her heel. But they use these to eventually return after the photo shoot. So if you're an aspiring stylist, that's what you would do. All right, so next, here is a friend, Rebecca. She was from East Coast, found my profile, reached out to me. I was like, yo, I'm gonna be visiting SF at one point. Can we coordinate a photo shoot? At this time I was working with Brooklyn Circus, so I kind of asked Gabe like, hey, I have this like test shoot coming up. Do you have some clothes I can borrow? And Gabe at that time was a creative director for G-Eazy, so he was like, yeah, like by all means, like here's like all these like new clothes, just play with it. If anything comes out dope, we might buy it from you and use it. So I was like, that is like a win-win situation. So this is a 2 light setup, 1 key light and 1 in the back, both with different, how should I say it, color gel on it.
Did you ever post these?
I didn't get around to it.
Damn.
Yeah, but that's why I'm sharing it, right? Past projects I just never got to post, or I just forgot, you know, and it just kind of became too long. But yeah, as you see on the left side, this was probably one of my favorite shots. Just the colors came out really nice in this one, and I ended up using it for our mock cover for Nüfly.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rebecca, she eventually moved out to New York and is still modeling, and she's killing it out there. So big shout out to her. You guys can find her online. Her handle was
Yeah, the lighting is so buttery.
Yeah, this lighting was good practice for what eventually became Arumi's photo shoot. So this photo set was actually a test shoot I coordinated. I just shot on like Instagram, like, yo, I bought a new light, 8-foot umbrella. Who wants to do a test shoot? And then I had a few friends.
Everybody.
Reach out to me. Yeah. Cameron, Olea, Swivy, and my other friend Gary Ann were down to do this. And then this eventually kind of like made Olea want to work with me more. So you never know, like if you ever offer free things to people and people see your work, they may just come back and pay for your services going forward. So here's Arumi's photo shoot. I haven't posted this yet. This is some work that we will be using for Nüfly, but I just wanted to kind of like showcase how the use of light kind of evolved over time. Like now that I have an 8-foot umbrella, now that I'm familiar with color gels, we were able to kind of craft these really fun color palettes.
Polar palettes.
Color palettes that really worked out for just Jody's branding. This thermal blanket I bought because I wanted something to just be visually interesting. I remember Belinda was like, the fuck, like don't put that in there. I'm like, dude, I'm a photographer, just let me do it. And I like slapped it on there and it worked out hella well. This was actually Belinda's idea of kind of like creating this kind of scene to communicate that she's a musician, she's a producer. So we borrowed, I think these were Jared's speakers, my stands, and Jody's keyboard.
And my chair.
And your chair. And her piñata. Yeah. All right. Stripes, our friend Stripes. This was a learning experience for Belinda and I am a huge fan of Stripes' music. So when he reached out to me, he was like, yo, I want to do like this photo shoot. I'm like, yeah, let's do it, dude. Hell yeah. And then like I was like telling Belinda, hey, you should come too, and she's like, okay. And then he came through. We did like this whole photo shoot. And then apparently like beforehand, Belinda did mention some kind of fee, and Casper or Stripes did kind of agree upon it, and there was some kind of miscommunication along the lines. But basically our takeaway from this was that if there's ever money involved, make sure it's clearly established before any work is done, or else it'll lead into some complications going forward. But I still really like this photo shoot. It came out really dope.
What a waste.
Yeah.
What a waste.
All right. So I'm just going to try to breeze through these as quickly as possible. I'm kind of running over time. All right. So projects,
We can
2017
run
to
over
present.
a little bit.
Okay. I just want to be mindful of everyone. All right. So Aloe is a special client of mine because they were actually the first client I ever got paid for photo shoot work. They reached out. Aloe, Sejun is the owner of Aloe, which is his furniture company. Basically making these really minimal pieces that can be broken down and reassembled to other furniture. Reached out to Nicole. Nicole reached out to me because she was like, hey, I'm not comfortable with like using strobe lights and doing furniture photography. I usually shoot models. Can you assist me with this, right? So I was like, yeah, I'm down for this, So we kind of agreed to split the price. So my kind
You're turbo boosting right now. Like, I understand we're overtime a little bit, but you're like, am I on 1.5x right now? Like, okay. Yo, just slow down a little bit.
Okay.
I understand. We gotta get this done, but just slow down just a little bit.
Okay, I'm like talking over my breath.
All right, I'm like, holy shit. What is he?
All right. So my responsibilities for this photo shoot, since Nicole was originally hired on as a lead photographer, it was just my job to assist her. She also needed some lifestyle props, right? And so while we were kind of like doing the discovery phase with Sejun from Aloe, I was asking him like, what's your target customer? He's like, oh, someone like you, right? So I was like, all right, so for someone like me, what do I like? I like magazines. I like, potted plants. I like tropical plants. This plant in the middle is actually mine. These magazines that you're seeing on the ladder rack is also mine too. But also what I was in charge of was bringing the equipment also, because I was the one who purchased the lighting equipment. And for some of the shots, Nicole was like, "Oh, I need you to model also." But the big challenge for me was I was in charge of all the photo retouching. Right. So I think this played really parallel with my aesthetic already. The mood board for these images, I showed them a lot of references of Muji photos. So kind of like warm, indoor, kind of minimal, product driven, lifestyle driven. So that kind of dictated a lot of these shots of just like you could see someone actually interacting with it, the finished product, how you would actually work with the pieces. And yeah, so we rented this studio over in Oakland that had 2 stories that we did all the seamless photos in the bottom area, but upstairs had this nice little loft that we kind of built furniture and used that also. This was all shot with one light source too, so it is possible to do that. A lot of post editing. You're gonna see in a bit. So just another example of their vase stand and also their towel ladder, which I threw magazines on because I thought it looked really cool. All right, some before and afters.
So you had to set all these shots up and also be in the shot
model.
too? Oh man, dude.
My biggest challenge, I had like these set of like 12 photos with this goddamn power outlet that they're like, "Hey Daniel, we need you to remove these during retouching." I removed them, I did. And this has taught me a lot just about working with shadows and kind of like retouching and making it look as natural as possible. Like you see on the left side, like there's that whole outlet. And then, like what Don was mentioning at first, like the biggest challenge isn't just removing it, but ensuring the shadows look like natural and the same too. Would I want to do this again? Probably not. But if I had to, I can. So
Dude, what? They told you to remove that?
yeah, because again, like the reference photos I was sending them were all like these Muji, these like beautiful scenes and everything. You got this ugly power strip in the middle, and they were like, "Hey, take it out."
Oh man.
Yeah. So here's one of the last shots, and then here's some BTS. This was on the bottom area of the studio that we rented out in Oakland, and just that seamless and one light and a couple of constant lights. All right, 2090. This was a really fun project that I don't think got enough love, to be honest. So my responsibilities when Jared hit me up was to do the cover art design, which eventually he had this idea of he wanted to do merchandise release for it too. And of course, as like for most designers, like when they're going to release something, you want to be in charge of how that launch is going to be too. So that was another thing I was responsible for. So Jared created this kind of I told him like, what do you want first, right? He kind of put together these images that he found, and it became like our mood board for 2090. I had this photo on the right side that I shot in the Embarcadero Center in San Francisco. At the time, we were really into like these like tropical plants. So after some effects, some time in Photoshop, some iterations, we eventually landed on this really glitched cover art that I would eventually be showing Belinda later as well.
This is also like the first project that we worked on together.
Right, you did the
because
music video.
You ran all the graphic design and I did all the videos.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So with that launched, eventually Jared was like, all right, I got merchandise, and I was like, if you're gonna sell a hat, you need models, right? So eventually we reached out to my friend Darren and also Christine, who goes by Beat by Buns, and I actually did get Linda involved for this. She was a makeup artist for this photo shoot. So just to show you guys a little bit about the process also, I was just talking about mood boards. Mood boards are really important for, just unifying the team under one vision. So I pulled a lot of these kind of like melancholic kind of, people in their fields, photos to just kind of communicate to Darren and Christine. Like Don, you were mentioning me earlier this week on how do you not get the model to smile, right? It's by showing them like reference photos to kind of set the tone in advance before you do the photo shoot, so everyone's on the same page. Yeah. So yeah, we went to at that time I was working at the Brooklyn Circus, so I pretty much asked Gabe. I was like, hey, can I borrow like the warehouse for like 2 hours? Like, I want to bring some friends in. My friend's just releasing some merch, and we just want to do a quick photo shoot. And he was like, yeah, for sure, you know. And so these plants I think we got from one of the Everlane shows that Jared and I DJ'd at, and they were like, oh, we don't want these plants anymore, so we just kept them. But yeah, they ended up kind of being props for like this photo shoot, and it came out really well. All right, so launch assets. Again, like I was just saying, right? I was kind of making like very specific things to Jared. I'm like, hey, you got make it like this. It has to be like, this is a sequence. And so I was like, you have to like tease people in advance, 2 weeks in advance, and then you have to then launch it, you know. And then after the
We
launch,
both had to give him so much instruction. I remember
Yeah.
eventually he put us in a group chat, was like,
Yeah.
I can't keep getting
yeah.
notifications
Yeah.
separately. Yeah.
But yeah, I was basically telling him like, you need to do like 2 weeks in advance for the teaser, and then you launch it on actual date.
There's a
and
way to
then-
roll things out.
Yeah, and then you later follow up, because then things like get attention and then they drop in attention. So for this lookbook release, I told them to post it like a week later after the release to kind of help resurgence the attention for this lookbook. And yeah, it came together like really well. I made a very specific layout, you know, that's very inspired by kind of like flipping through a magazine. And here is a BTS shot of us in the warehouse. So the next project, this one was with Darren. I was commissioned from Gabe at the Brooklyn Circus to take photos of these socks that he purchased called Chup socks, which are really dope, small batch, made in Japan socks. We kind of put together this mood board. The interesting thing with Gabe is that he wanted me to always pitch him a direction. So that became a really big practice of mine to kind of do a lot of pre-planning before you pitch to your client, like what this project's going to be about. In addition to that, I had to source a model, schedule, and also be the lead photographer, retouch the photos, and also create an IG layout for it. So here's Darren. So as you can see from this mood board, you're going to see a lot of like shot lists kind of carried over into like the Brooklyn Circus photo shoot. The narrative that I told Darren was someone coming into locker room, basically changing from one outfit to another outfit. And yeah, I think these came together really well.
Where'd you get that stool chair thing?
So that's from the Brooklyn Circus.
Bench.
From the Brooklyn Circus, yeah.
Ah.
He had these head porter bags also that he was like, yo, throw in there. Head porter is just like a really dope bag company from Japan that Gabe brought back from his trip from Japan to sell
Favorite
it.
bag company.
Yeah, they're hella dope, dude. I have a bag
Add
for
more money.
Regina. Yeah, they're pretty pricey though. Yeah.
Dang.
You know, and then these Converse 70s were actually customized from Gabe by this other shoe welder in the city, where they basically like the whole shoe is like inside this bottom sole. So it's like really chunky, really dope. I couldn't afford it at that time, but it was just a really beautiful shoe. So yeah, here's kind of like me also, not just like my work didn't stop at just retouching. I had to post it also in a way that kind of made sense. And so the first post was just one, second post was just another, because for the Brooklyn Circus feed, they were also operating by rows also. So the third one was more of like the actual carousel slide.
Yeah, quick little tip is you should screen record how you want things to be presented to people so that they can see too, because Dan will be sending you videos of like, all right, it's screen recorded, how I'm posting it, this is in what order is how it's supposed to look like, and that's why he has all these stills and records here.
Yeah. I actually did record these just last night.
Oh, did
But
you?
I would normally do that.
I'm just saying, yeah, I know that that's a practice that you do.
Yeah. And here's a BTS of this shoot with Darren, and these BTS shots were taken by Jayan.
That fade though.
All right, this was a fun one. I'm bringing us back to the present right now. This was with Brittany, actually. I don't know if Brittany's still in the chat, but Andy and Brittany reached out and were saying that, you know, during this shelter in place, Brittany really kind of went ham with this cut and sew collection, and they wanted to put together these images because one of Andy's friends were creating this zine to kind of like show people like what they've been creating during shelter in place. So I kind of shared Brittany like my portfolio, and she specifically like pointed out these photos that I shot of my own clothes when I was trying to sell them on Grailed. So with that, I picked up the clothes. I'm gonna share with you guys the spread that I made for her. So Brittany, she didn't really give me any direction on this. So I kind of took the color palette from the clothes that she already sent me, and I just kind of designed to make it look nice, presentable, kind of like a magazine, a 2-page spread, if I may. Yeah, just kind of going through like her pieces. Like these are really, really dope clothes for someone who like just started. Like big shouts to Brittany. This was a bowler shirt she made for Andy. And yeah, just kind of continuing like that, you know, talking about the clothes. I like kind of whipped up some quick captions, you know, lightweight bowler jacket with a button-up front closure, you know, made using 100% cotton. Here, like, she made these like really cute and dope set of crew necks and sweatpants, you know. But since there's so many shots, I just kind of like put them all into like one slide, kind of making it
dope.
Feel, yeah. I wanted it to feel kind of like a film roll, you know.
Yeah, dude, it definitely has that feel to it.
Yeah, and then like the standout color, she only made one crew neck that was green, so this deserved like a page itself. And this kind of like sage green just looked really nice on it. She also made these like denim pieces, and yeah, it was just a matter of just composing them in interesting ways. And yeah, you know, this was the last page. And I think besides just the BTS photos of just how it looks like behind the scenes, this is shot in my room, like literally like right behind me. As you could see, the seamless papers, which Belinda was like, when the hell are you gonna take down, was used for this photo shoot. But yeah.
You had that shit up for a while.
I did have it up for a while.
And here we are at the present.
So yeah. I don't know.
Shit, bro.
Thank you.
Bravo.
I just realized I haven't got through like all like the slides or the backdrops for my show.
Oh, you said, I thought that was the last one.
Oh.
No. The keynote I finished, but I'm talking about OBS.
What
OBS.
else? What you got? Let's see.
I made an anime one, basically. Yeah.
Nice. Is that the last one?
That is the last one. No, that's it. That concludes my past projects, my presentation. We are 21 minutes over, so dang.
Right.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you guys also for giving me this opportunity to talk about my past work. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys learned a couple of things, and if you guys have any specific questions, whether it be for me or for our team, like we're all ears, do leave us a comment or reach out to us individually. We'd be happy to answer your questions. But yeah, that concludes this session. Question mark?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yay!
We're good.
Oh my god!
Good. We got a call again.
Thank you. Thank you guys. My hydro flask
Don
is
looks
too
like
far.
he's like done, man.
Yeah.
Look
I'm
at
like
him. He's
sweating,
like pulling his hair, dude. Like
Yeah.
Huh? What do you mean?
it's like Jimmy Neutron style right now.
Oh, damn.
Anyways, all right. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's
yeah.
conclude the stream.
Let's go ahead and wrap it up. So, Dan, where can people find you? Oh, you can find me on Instagram or Twitter at DAKFU if you want to see more work. So some updates from Nüfly. We have some really dope prints coming out for you guys. It's in the collaborate. One of them is a collaboration with Kyle by Kyle, and another one is a re-release of the You're Now Alone poster, but on a thicker paper stock now that we don't have to fold them into a paper zine, so it will be a lot more durable and it will just shine a lot better in your room too. 18 by 24 inches. That should be really fun. Keep an eye out for that. Who are we doing next week, guys? Who can people look forward to? Kaz, Don?
Either Dawn or Kaz. Rochambeau.
Kaz and Rochambeau.
Actually, I got offline with you about that.
Oh.
Yeah, it's about next week.
Oh shit. For sure.
Okay.
Well,
right.
TBD then. TBD.
Really.
TBD. For sure. Well, we can go ahead and wrap it up over here, guys. Everyone, thank you again so much for tuning in this Saturday. We hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Please continue to be safe. Wear a mask when you go out, especially if you're here in NorCal. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys.
All right, we got to sign out, all of us. So I'm your other co-host, Belinda, the editor and video director here at Nüfly. You can find me at _ZenRabbit on all platforms. And thanks for staying with us this whole time. I'm going to pass the mic over to Kaz now.
Yo, guys. Kaz signing off. Thanks to the team. I want to give a thanks once again to Naked Glow.
We didn't do a recap of Dan's journey, from let's see, how do we start off? Like, what was this beginning?
We
making like graphics for DeviantArt and forum websites, and then you get into your college years where you get a little too stoned, and then you pick the wrong major, but it's all good. You learn from it.
Yes.
You go into accounting, you realize that's not your thing, and then you found your calling, decide to reset everything a few years ago, and you just been learning it. You just went on YouTube University.
Basically,
and taught yourself how to do everything, and this the willingness to learn and ask questions and to
just
sharpen
killing
your
it.
knife.
Just killing it.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to say one thing about Dan. He's a very hard worker. Like when he's working on a project, he puts a lot of time into it. So that's one thing I definitely.
He's also probably like one of the nicest guys you'll ever run across.
So much patience.
Patience.
Anyways, yes, the mic now. Dawn, you go.
Thanks y'all for joining. Dan's journey was wonderful. You could expect us next week.
Yes.
Expect us.
All right.
Expected. All right, guys. Thank you so much again, and until next time.
Thanks for joining.
Later.
Run it.
너가 뭐라고 하든 난 그냥 할 거야. 내가 하고자 하는 거 그냥 할 거야. 내가 하고 싶으니까 그냥 계속 할 거야.
Polaroid.